the first edition of our chess festival here in Formentera. We host the chess festival in Sitges. I think it's a special place because it's a unique location. We have very nice views, we have very nice beaches.
My experience here has been extremely nice. It's a perfect location to play chess. We are in a fantastic hotel here in the beautiful island of Formentera, which is paradise. And you can see even the beach from your balcony in your room. Tournament combines chess and holidays, and there are a lot of parallel activities. You can play ping pong tournament, you can play volleyball tournament.
For instance, we have seminars from different grandmasters and
chess master classes or chess conferences, and we also have a couple of blitz tournaments. Related to Spanish cultures. Our goal is always to have people have fun and have a chess holiday.
Yeah, this tournament is basically for everyone. It can be a professional chess player who just is very much focused at chess part, and the conditions are good enough to do that too.
I expect to play some decent chess at least, and yesterday I lost against Gustafsson, super grandmaster from India. But besides chess, I expect to have a lot of great moments and memories with my friends here in this beautiful island.
We have visited the island, which is exclusive place, and I've heard a lot of stars are coming here to visit this island, and you can only reach by the boat to there. So we went there with other grandmasters. We played chess games there. It was quite an experience to play chess at the lovely island. For me, it's very important to have a good time, because when I have a good time, then my chess also goes nicely, and this tournament is also proof of that, and I hope I will today, because so far I've got some points, and also I enjoyed other activities here too.
So it's the perfect place to play chess.
It's time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the end game with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Christoph Sulecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at Chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Seriously? intelligent system that analyzes your game, prevents mistakes, and develops recommendations for improving your skill. Phew!
Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses.
Welcome everybody.
My name is Jan Nepomniachtchi, former world chess champion.
Are starting a new course here for Chessable.
A very special Chessable course.
Master your chess with Judith Bolgar.
You know what? I learned a lot.
Oh, with Smurfs again?
Absolutely. We're also wearing blue today to make it.
So can we unsmurf at some point? Anyway, welcome to round number 8. 3 rounds to go in the Chessable Sunway Sitges International Chess Festival. And on board 1, we have the clash of the 2 men who won all their games, but one of them only has 6 out of 7. Why is that?
It is a mystery, yeah. I've somehow failed to remember what happened in round 1, but in round 1, very unfortunately for Tabatabai, he was paired against an Israeli player, and this is a kind of an impossible situation for Iranian chess players still living in Iran, so he did not play that game. So he's in effect on 6 out of 6 with that technical loss in round 1. So we have a clash of 2 people who have 13 out of 13 combined, which is not bad. Yeah, it's a good result, I have to say. And they played a very, very exciting and potentially important game in the Riga Grand Swiss. I remember I was watching the conclusion of it. They both had like 10 seconds for, obviously with increment but it seemed like they were both playing an increment for the last, 15 moves of the game. They both like to think about things. In that game, Kirill came out on top in some very, very sharp Catalan, but no Catalan today.
No, this could still become a number of things. It started out as, whatever you want to call it, a reti, and now I guess it's a C5 sort of symmetrical English, but so much depends on the next move. If we get a Tarrasch, or if we get a sort of Marozzi, or a reverse Marozzi, or a King's Indian, if some D4, D6. This could still become many openings.
Yeah, D5 chosen by Kirill here. The fear for me whenever I played this move order with black is that incredibly boring position after CD5, knight d5, d4, where you're sort of expected to choose between one of the few things, and none of them very impressive in terms of like winning chances and excitement. Yeah, this being, I think my usual choice was always this. And I think current understanding is completely fine for black. But you still occasionally, first of all, you can actually not equalize if you don't play very precisely. And secondly, winning chances are you basically declare you are not going to have any. But it's also a bit boring, and I don't think Tabatabai is the kind of a player who goes for these types of things. So he goes knight c3. Here, my choice would have been knight c7. I think of the things that black can do here, I think knight c7 is the most principled one. Sidestepping all the jumps, trying to play e5, or occasionally even just g6, bishop g7, put the knight on e6 later. You don't have to commit to e5 necessarily. These are a kind of a combination of some old style theory. There are some lines after knight c7 which have been debated in strong players' games for decades and decades, and also some very newfangled theory. In particular, let's say if white goes, a3, black can reply to that with g6, and you can obviously, whenever the pawn appears on g6, h4 becomes a massive, massive topic of discussion. This could be very exciting, but alternative black could play something like g6 or e6.
Solid approach.
Yeah, h4 is very playable here as well. It always is these days, and not even these days. I think this was a very crucial thing that we were checking, I think, as far back as 2013, when I was trying to become a 1c4 player overnight. You have to know what you're doing here with black. As is pretty much always the case these days in these types of positions where white goes h4 with a rook steal on h1, very often it becomes incredibly concrete, and you do have to have a very clear idea of what you're trying to achieve. And yeah, h4 board. Yeah.
I checked this a bit once. I think they're doing something like this now, and I couldn't really get what we're aiming for, but maybe I'm just underestimating the power of the pawn on h6. But yeah, I wasn't that impressed with this.
Yeah, I think my solution way back then was to play h6 and then pretend that the inclusion of h4, h6 is not that poor. And this led to that. I always remember that game with much fondness, because the feeling I had somewhere in the middle of that game against Timur Rajabov in the Tromsø World Cup, where I actually got a huge amount of theoretical preparation in, and made a comfortable draw, but I was a full rook down by move 15 in a game where I needed a draw. And it only sort of dawned on me once I gave up the rook that maybe this wasn't what I was supposed to do in a must-draw game, but it worked out fine.
Kirill on bishop g7. Let's see. That's computers. And now I'm assuming the bishop will go here, castling into it. Seems a bit bold.
Bishop 5 very often is a topical choice in these types of positions, because you do want to, now that the king is sort of, I mean, stuck is maybe a strong word, but white has declared an interest in keeping the king on e1 and keeping the rook on h1 occupied that way. Therefore, bishop f5, knight db4 is actually something that needs to be addressed. And in more general terms, black just needs a sensible, useful move that is not castles. And there aren't really that many. You pretty much never want to take on c3 too early. Bishop b6, knight g5 doesn't look attractive. Bishop g4 doesn't really do very much. So f5 is, I think, a natural choice.
We'll see. Maybe he has something else up his sleeve. What I recall was the move order. I think some random stuff like this. I think Levon might have had some games here. And yeah, I couldn't really understand what white is doing, but it's, once again, might very well be.
Yeah, there are some very, very high-profile games starting from here. Apparently, I had this with black against MVL in 2013. Have no recollection of that. I guess that was the European teams, and I somehow...
So that was before you prepared h6 here?
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe I switched because I thought MVL might have something prepared against my preparation. But in more recent times, there was a 2022 game between Dingler and Wesley, which went bishop f5, h6, bishop f6, castles.
Yeah, bishop f5 is on the board.
And this with white against Vichy in the Sinquefield Cup 2017, and he went knight g5 instead of the immediate h6, and also did not really get very far. So yeah, bishop f5 does seem to be a very kind of a main line. Probably the most important reply here. Bishop g7, bishop f5. h6 blitzed out by, I mean...
Yeah, bishop goes here.
Yep. And then it becomes...
You have to believe in the power of the pawn.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because other than that, your position is not very impressive. But the modern argument seems to be pawn on h6 good whenever something happens later. We either win the endgame or give mate on g7.
Yeah, the one reasonably high-profile game that white did win in this line is Fabi beat MVL, who actually did played this on the black side as well in the speed chess game in 2021. But it looks like MVL got a very, very serviceable position out of the opening. Really had nothing to do with the opening. The fact that he ended up losing, he just misplayed it. It being blitz or possibly even bullet, we don't really know.
Alexenko is taking a moment here.
A bit of time, yeah.
Maybe h6, minor surprise. But I'd be surprised if he hadn't seen this position before. So that gives us a chance to have a look at what else we have. Hans Niemann on the second board is playing Aravind. What points is Hans on? He's on...
Hans on 5.5. And Aravind is on 6. Aravind is a second person who is a point behind Alexeyenko, tied with Amin Tabatabai on 6. He did eventually win a long game against Andrei Yesipenko yesterday, the one that we covered until we didn't. Played that game really well. I think Andrei will have reasons to be not entirely happy with himself, but that is no kind of criticism of Aravind's play, who eventually got a very pleasant position with black and continued pushing until something gave.
Shots fired. Yeah. Bishop f5 and e6 in this slow Slav. e6, knight h4. We've seen this even during this commentary. And the first minor surprise, bishop g4, which normally has been third on the list of bishop moves that you choose between here. The reasoning is that white now goes queen b3, then goes h3, g4, chases down this bishop anyway, without having to compromise too much. It doesn't compare so well, for example. There is this line. No, how do you do this?
I'm not, can't help you here. This is not my area of expertise.
Maybe like this. And now white goes knight h4, intending to play h3 and g4. And our bishop moved twice in the game. So if we get this, white would just be a tempo up compared to the theoretical position. There are sharper attempts here, but I didn't think they were great, like b5 or somewhere.
b5 exists here.
Not sure if it's here. That doesn't look like it makes any sense.
That would be a bit surprising. Yeah.
I don't think it works, but maybe it's with bishop e4. So a bit curious what our
is it always queen b6? Do we ever just go queen c7 and
yeah, that's legal too. Just not great version of stuff. It's basically tempo down.
We'll see. It is in the game that we've seen in this line previously was, I think, UNG against Scholars, right? Where Dmitry Kollars just played bishop g6 instead of both bishop b4 and bishop g4. Bishop b4 is the one I would like to see because I think of the three options, it probably leads to the sharpest and the more double-edged ones. Bishop g4, I really am not very familiar with at all. But the Indian kids generally know what they're doing, so it will be interesting to see how he tries. Well, okay.
He takes C, that's what he wants.
So he is just sort of gambling straight out of the opening here. Well, and by gambling, I mean showing some in-depth computer preparation, which looks bad at first glance, but obviously is something that he checks and believes is playable because, people don't really go for flat-out bad positions anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, I've seen this before. I vaguely recall. I wasn't a big fan. But clearly, he's going for surprise value. It's not so easy with white. It
has been played by Jordan.
Yeah, this is...
earlier this year against Prague. The game continued queen b7, knight bd7, h3, bishop h5, g4, knight d5 somehow, and sort of further madness down the road.
Not sure he was supposed to go g4. But I'm sure Aravind will have done his homework. And it's one of those where maybe you're a bit worse if white knows exactly what to do. But it's a sideline, so possibly Hans could be a little taken by surprise.
We have a kind of a fun position in, it's going all the way down to board 8, but I do want to point it out because it looks very, very nice for move 6. And this is probably a misclick, right? Like this, is it? Maybe not, because g4 was a threat. The last two moves are very peculiar. White kind of somewhat naively perhaps played rook f1, e1 on move 6, and were instantly hit by g7, g5, and you are threatening g4 actually capturing that knight on f3, and you pretty much never want to play h3 because that makes you get mated faster. So morally, after some thought, it just goes rook e1, f1 back.
But after some thought is being generous, no? Like, do you play rook f1 within 3 minutes here? That's the shocker to me. Maybe just figure it's strictly the only move. h3, h5.
h3, h5 really looks like you're just going to get mated, in particular when this gets blitzed out against you. But this is a very, very kind of...
So rook e1 is just a mistake, yes?
I think so. I think we go c3.
Keep that square.
And now after rook f1, honestly, these days, like that pawn on g5 is just not even supposed to be much of a drawback. Even if black just continues playing quietly, I don't think it's such a poor move. Go g4, h5, and gain space and claim that you've achieved a tom. Very interesting by Gokir Khan here. And honestly, it feels like a misplay from Morley. Feels like this has not gone according to plan.
Yeah, he missed that e6. Has that idea and not just. developing the pieces. And, yeah, I know you can play normal, but you can also just
but just go
grab
for
all the
this.
space, no?
Yeah. Knight g6, bishop g7. Like we're doing fine. Yeah. Eventually we might even castle kingside, but with the amount of time we won and the amount of space we grabbed, I think I could very easily imagine just staying in the center with the king and playing sort of quote unquote normally. Very curious. But that's obviously in that very large pile up on 5.5. We have a lot of games in that group today. So that's actually the final board where 5.5 players play against each other. We have 6 boards of that, and also Hans Niemann playing against Aravind. So 13 people tied for 4th through 16th.
Your command over who has how many points never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah, it's because I have chess results open and I can read. It's a very important skill.
Oh, wow. Queen b7, knight b7 on the board. And Hans seems a little surprised. At least he's not blitzing out the moves. And I'm not sure he's the type of, who knows. And to fake think in such a line if he's very familiar with it.
Yeah, I would be surprised. I think he just, happily and confidently blitzes something out if he knows. That would be also my impression. Really does look like you, at first it's very difficult to understand why you're not just much, much better here if you just start, picking stuff up like queen c6 or bishop c4, any of those moves. The queen doesn't really feel like it's in too much trouble. Like why aren't you better? But yeah, there are jumps in particular, I guess. Yeah, as Jan is indicating, the knight on h4 is going to be vulnerable to shenanigans. But once again, I'm really not sure I understand immediately at least why. Let's say after h3 played, so it's irrelevant. But in that position, just going knight f3, allowing bishop takes f3, and saying I have a pretty safe structure and a very healthy extra pawn. Why am I not? I guess takes knight before, yeah, and then or the immediate knight before, and then rook b8 at least, yeah. Yeah, okay, that solves at least my first immediate stupid question. h3 bishop h5 played. As we've discussed, g4 was Prague's choice in this game. I think it was a rapid, so he had some time to think. Or possibly he even knows. But yeah, that was Prague's choice here. The other moves are all the normal moves can be listed here. Queen c6. Maybe in case of the pawn, like if you're choosing a pawn grab, I'm guessing queen c6 is a better pawn grab because it frees up the queen a little bit more. Also makes 95 harder to play.
Yeah, I think that's the move. I'm not sure how long the list is. The computer gives a3, which doesn't feel like such a priority, but it does stop anything coming to b4.
Yeah, in particular because once again, I was sort of consulting your screen a little bit. After queen takes c6, I believe bishop b4 is maybe the main move of the machine. So a3 is actually quite topical, stopping both 95 before ideas and also the bishop before ideas. Still absolutely non-obvious to me why we're not just a pawn up here, but we clearly aren't. We'll see.
Final line played by Yu Yang Yi on board number 3. That does rhyme. He goes d5, a3, and we get this main tabia of the queen c2 Nimzo nowadays. After knight to f3, not the only move, but d takes c, queen takes c4, b6, bishop g5. He goes for the immediate c5, bishop a6, I guess is still the main line. We've seen the great Sam Shankland suffer in this line against Grishuk. I'm not sure if it was a novelty, but I think Grishuk was the first high-level player to do this thing. I'm not gonna win time attacking your queen. That seems like a strange thing to do. I'll just give you this pawn immediately. and then determine where my pieces go later. I checked this a bit. It works. It's a good line. So kudos to Grishuk, knight b7. Main line here is queen d4, e5, queen d6, and hilarity ensues.
Yeah, I remember that game. Sasha was doing well for quite some time and then made some kind of a horrific miscalculation and just was suddenly completely lost and did indeed that game.
Yeah, and Grigoryan, not sure how familiar he is with this. And if you're not, I mean, he took on c5 fairly quickly, which wasn't forced. So maybe he is, but if you're not that familiar with it, this can be...
How much of a risk are you running? Like if you have no idea where to put the queen and you put it on some kind of a common sense normal square, are you...
What's a common sense normal
I mean,
square?
I think I'm choosing between d4 and c3. Like my default would be a choice between d4 and c3, with d4 being the early front runner until you mention a6, c5, which immediately makes me a bit worried. But yeah, one of those. I don't really want to put it on the b file, invite rook b8. That seems strange. And I would like it, probably would like it on a dark square so that...
yeah, as I mentioned, this is the main line.
So we are actually provoking e5, yeah, to perhaps be able to pick it up later in some complications. Because, I mean, if we're doing it after e5, I assume we can do it immediately as well.
Yeah. No, black does have full compensation. It's not... Well, it wasn't exactly immediately obvious, but clicking did confirm that it's surprisingly awkward for white.
Yeah, will be interesting to watch. My one sort of big question was very much along the lines of like, why would you play, I don't know, the Rook E1 anti-Berlin with white in an open tournament? But I guess here it really feels very unfair to you and you to be asking questions like this because, yes, he probably would like to have winning chances. But first of all, from what I understand from you, you might have winning chances here as black. And secondly, what are you supposed to play? Like if Nimzo is your main repertoire opening and you get mad by queen c2, like you're probably not going to get very exciting positions if white doesn't want to.
You don't think this is exciting?
It is, but it also feels like white should probably be able to just trade everything off and make a draw.
Oh?
Yeah, I mean, I thought queen d4 was very safe, but then let's continue this line for a bit. Honestly, I wouldn't even be sure I need to go to d6, but yeah, my challenge now is basically to do this because I don't want to read. Yeah, I'd be choosing between queen d6 and queen d2, I guess. d2 already, yeah, it already feels a bit iffy because I might not be quick enough. If I take on f6, queen f6, yeah, this is where I start thinking that yes, I am actually running very significant risks because I'm still 3 moves away from castling. Not that worried about e5, e4, but yeah, rook d8, bishop b7, knight c5 feels like it's a very significant problem. And queen d6, rook b8, I did sort of, before I physically blocked the first line so that I can't really cheat. I could see that it is actually possible to be somewhat greedy and play before here. But how certain would I be of that in a practical game if I didn't know?
So I know how this line continues, and it's not exactly swapping everything down.
No, it's
just a total
really
mess. Black will
yeah.
go f5, and black actually has a very serious long-term play.
Yeah, no, okay. My first impression was just straight up wrong because I think I just missed d6, e5. I thought I can play queen d4 and then basically take on f6. And I assumed the line goes something like queen d4, bishop b7. And then, you know, if we want, we can take on f6, take on d8. We are probably not much better because of how undeveloped we are, but we're also not going to be much worse. But yeah, what you're showing is very different in spirit. On board 4, Jules Moussard is playing against Abhimanyu Puranik. And we had already a little bit of a surprise there, I felt, where on move 8 after rook e1, e5, I thought there is really no particular reason, I felt, to play bishop b5 until we get chased, right? So why are we not playing knight d2 here, waiting for bishop b6 and then playing bishop b5? But he chose to start with bishop b5, to which Abhimanyu replied with bishop b7, which I think is quite logical. And so,
yeah, I'm wondering if one needs bishop d7. Is this really a threat?
But yeah, nobody really needs anything in these types of positions. Like, all of these moves seem interchangeable. They really aren't. There's massive differences between all of them.
No, I want to go here without going d4.
Yeah, if you look at all of this deeply enough, you start seeing all the little differences. But yeah, it's a bit, this idea of playing a5 in all kinds of Jokopianos is extremely topical. But yeah, I was a bit surprised by the immediate bishop b5. So what we have right now is, yeah, bishop b5, bishop d7. They do sometimes, let's say after knight bd2, I think in this position, you can play a4 if you want. The idea being that if you take, I will take and play knight b4. There's a massive, massive compensation for black. Often it's just completely unplayable for white because of just how strong this pressure is and how difficult it is actually to get rid of that knight on d3. But obviously, most likely just gets ignored. Well, white is absolutely not obliged to react to it in any way. But then we can go, I don't know, knight b8 or knight e7 or something. And it is one of the potential points of playing a5, just gaining as much space as you can on the queen side, making it difficult for white to do anything there in the future, and sort of playing from there.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Gilles Moussard had a sort of slow start to the tournament, but he's only one good win away from entering that absolute top group.
Yeah, and his opponent yesterday had a kind of a very pleasant rest day where he knew pretty much everything about the line of the Petrov that he ended up getting on the board, and his opponent didn't really know very much. So I think he started thinking around move 20 something, and by that point he was completely winning. Those days are nice when you get rewarded for homework well done. We have a bit of a classical clash there on board 5, where Vasilij Dorabali is playing white against Anton Korobov, and Anton is doing something here which is kind of very thematic for these lines, where the bishop on e7 is not a very good piece, and he just spends 2 tempi here getting it over to b6, even at the cost of the d6 pawn if white wants, because I think white in the current position can, if they want, take on d6 without taking on b6, right? It just might not be very good. Like if we take, like takes on e3, and even if you don't have anything direct, the positional compensation that you get after you ruin the white structure like this, and then yeah, the engine plays this quite slowly, just starts doubling on the c file, saying, you know, like rook c4, rook b4 is also something that maybe black is interested in. The bishop on f3 becomes a very, very poor piece for the rest of the game. So I think this is unlikely to happen. I think Vasilij will do, I mean, pretty much anything else. Takes, and yeah, not allowing knight c4 seems logical. But I would argue that black actually achieved something here, because I think you prefer this position without the bishops on e7 and e3, even though, as Jan correctly indicates there, yeah, e3 now is open for that knight on d2 for the future. Yeah, do we have a strong opinion about, whoa, okay,
the take.
Yeah, okay. Time to take everything back and say that it's obvious that a pawn is a pawn and has to be picked up so as not to feel.
No, I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, so do I, but I mean, Vasilij clearly disagrees, and we must respect his choices.
So we can't disagree with him?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I think, yeah, in particular now, I think Anton will be quite happy with how the opening came out.
Let's see the beast.
He's displaying a very restrained kind of a King's Indian / Peer's today.
Like his usual full-blown English.
Yeah, continues to just, you know, considering the fact that he is a much wanted Chessable author, of course, is on 1b3 and 1e4. Those two moves just aren't making an appearance at all. Like he
the fact that he doesn't want to play b3, I mean, he explained in an interview that he was at some point getting quite annoyed by the fact that people were using his course against him, but not essaying one e4 at all is a bit peculiar. 6a4, yeah, a bit of a sideline, but this says, especially if black goes d6, which most people don't, but Demchenko, we've seen before, has a fighting style, does not exactly try to liquidate early on. And if black goes for d6 early, white hasn't committed to c4. a4, like in any position, has become very serious test, just grabbing more space. Demchenko says no. Is this a symmetrical position? Almost. Bishop is on d7. Yeah, you always have a little bit of something here, I feel, with white, because you're going to be the one sort of making the first move. You also have an extra tempo with h3, which could become useful because you no longer have to worry about neither knight g4 nor bishop g4, and black maybe in some positions won't be able to put the bishop on e6 safely for fear of running into knight g5. But it's not much. The structure is very solid, very symmetrical. Like, I wouldn't be very scared with black. I don't think Anton minds. Also, interestingly, just briefly returning to the previous game, Anton Korov indicating that he would very much like more, I don't know about how to describe it, I don't know, dynamics or what have you. Like, he gives the queens. Yeah, just more queens. Yeah, I don't know if it's the absolutely the best choice, but generally, yeah, he clearly wants a more complicated game today, and queen a7 does seem to be a playable choice. Yeah, I guess white goes back somewhere, d3, d2. Not queen d2, knight b6. It does run into knight b6 somewhat. Yeah, here the engine just says, yeah, let's improve the queen. It wasn't really doing very much on a7. c5, on the other hand, is a very beautiful square. Honestly, optically, it just doesn't look worse for black at all. It's just, I mean, one thing you need to be careful of is somehow allowing white to land that knight on d5, but there is so much pressure against all kinds of weaknesses that it feels like you probably can control white's advances so that never happens, or at least never happens in favorable conditions. We'll see. We'll see what's what. Yeah, in the Yu Yang-Yi game, Grigoryan took his time. Doesn't look like he expected this, but the critical line is on the board. Queen d4, e5, queen d6, rook b8. And yeah, not most fun line to be ambushed in with white, although he made the best moves. Yeah, so far playing the absolute central line. Yeah, somewhat interesting, and for me, you know, as a longtime employee and a friend of Kirill's, slightly unwelcome developments on our top board. Knight takes c3 really doesn't look right in these structures. I think you're playing all of these positions very specifically not to take on c3. So short castles, and knight h2. Yeah, I guess played quickly. Yeah, asking the question mainly. Yeah, asking the question because you can't really play e6. It loses the bishop on f5 because it runs out of squares. Like e4 just wins a piece here. So you have to decide. I guess maybe the move I would most like to make if I could is bishop e6. But then you have to ask yourself, do you have a good reply to knight e4? And you probably will have to give up that bishop on f6 because the pawn on c5 is a little bit too important. Which is why both knight c7 and knight b6, I think, are very serious options here. Once again, maybe Kirill didn't like knight e4. Because you need to be unhappy about something not to play, let's say, knight c7. But I think the structure is just okay. Yeah. Yes, there is a pawn on h6, but the bishop will return to h8 eventually if it gets chased away. And we do have a very solid setup in the center. And some of the games we were talking about when we started discussing this line, they did reach this particular material and structural destination and seemed to be completely fine. Whereas in the game, We've now opened the bishop on c1. We deprive ourselves. d4 square is no longer available. The bishop on f6 is extremely restricted. The white bishop will come out to e3, and it's often quite annoying actually to figure out how to protect the pawn on c5 without allowing white to get a lot of progress. I'm not in love with the decision at all. Looks
like tremendous suffering, and a bit of a strange choice because knight c3 so obviously worsens your position that you wouldn't expect Kirill to do.
Yeah, he's also, clearly he is feeling some pressure on the clock because, so far is blitzing absolutely everything out. Still above the starting time, and Kirill, as is his wont, burning through time early. But that is what he does every game. The knight takes e3, on the other hand, is a kind of an uncharacteristic bailout, which we haven't much from him in this tournament, and not a very good bailout either.
Bailing out, it's just signing up for great suffering.
Suffering, yeah.
Things are also happening on board number 2, where Hans did take the pawn. Rook c8 played, queen a4, and knight to d5, also being blitzed out by Aravind. Seems to be Aravind thing. No, he prepares some slightly dodgy sidelines, but then he knows them well. He played the Ayechin against Jordan.
That was him. Yeah,
this.
He was in a very large amount of trouble against Jordan if Jordan played well. So far today, I think it's harder to judge just how much trouble he's in, because these are all very strange landscapes, which I feel kind of lost in trying to figure out just how much compensation you have, because you get this, once again, I'm sort of reading the first line, and what it resembles in my mind are some positions that I want to call sort of Chigorin-like in a way, where you give up at least one bishop pair, maybe even both bishop pairs to spoil the structure somewhat, and then try. Probably we're not taking on c3, but we're definitely taking on f3. Yeah, in some position like this, we castle, we play b6, f5 to stop e3, e4, or at least make e3, e4 harder to play for white. But the thing is, in the Chigorin, if we discuss the Chigorin, black generally isn't the pawn down, and even those positions aren't always very good. Equal material, but there's definitely people who will prefer all of these positions because the bishop pair is something who will prefer this for white. Let's say knight f3, bishop g4. Those sort of classical lines: d5, bishop f3, gf, queen d5, e3, and now you don't get involved with the sharper stuff with e5. You just play it the old way, and now queen goes somewhere, knight g7, and so on. And the engine also prefers it for white, and I think most people just kind of eye test will take white here. Aravind will get something like this. He will be slightly, or maybe not even slightly, somewhat ahead of development, but there's no pawn on b7. Hard to judge whether it compensates for everything or not.
Knight f3 played. Did gain him a 40-minute lead on the clock.
Yeah, that is definitely not nothing.
Grigoryan is trying to bail out here with bishop takes f6. I'm a little surprised that Yu Yanyi plays queen f6 against my narrative, because gf is very possible here as well. I still know this. Yu Yanyi seems to be saying, this is the first line, I checked this, it's equal. I don't want to go too crazy.
Yeah, also, I think it's possible for white to run into at least some problems here. It's not like he is completely giving up on chances to play for a win, because now after knight c5, yes, white is currently 2 pawns up, but you're so far behind in development that, I would, if I had this with white, I would assume I'm not better. And I would be a bit careful about not being worse here, I think, because I can very easily imagine scenarios where black both becomes very active and also wins both of the a pawns.
And then yes, it's 4 against 4, but if you had to invest a lot of time into just finishing development, it might become a bit awkward. F3 doesn't have very many good squares and so on. But of course, like general feeling has to be that what does happen is that we lose the A pawns, but we do complete development reasonably comfortably, and then it's a draw.
Yeah, we'll see. Doesn't look like Grigoryan is asking many questions here, but he chose the more solid option when given this choice. Alexienko went queen to c8.
It's still somewhat remarkable to me just how much the engine hates this. Like I'm obviously picking white here, but I would think equal material we haven't really done. We've made one very questionable decision, but only one. And yeah, it's above +1 on my screen here in a position where equal material and sort of no real weaknesses. And, you know, the one big difference is that white has a pawn on h6. But I think, yeah.
It's not that this position is equal with a pawn on, I don't know, h2, right? This structure, the black pawn on c5 and white pawn on c3.
Yeah.
It's just bad.
Yeah, they're never great, but I think the presence of the pawn on h6 makes it just sort of massively poor, because your endgames are bad and you also occasionally get mated in the middle games. And apparently after queen c8, white could, if they wanted, just sort of go in after the material, because after queen d5, as I mentioned, the pawn on c5 is very vulnerable in these structures. It feels like you actually have to give it up after knight a5, bishop a3.
Looks tempting.
Does look very tempting. You could maybe think that you're selling this a little bit short, but I don't know. It's a full pawn. You will have to make some backward moves once you've won it, but you will be a healthy pawn up. Yeah, something like this, and yeah, the engine says you have to play bishop b3 c1, but you know, we're still a pawn up. We still have the pawn on h6 to annoy black in every single endgame. Definitely an option. Definitely an option.
While Puranic played bishop d7, Tsar played knight f1. A ton of excitement there. Let's see. We have other fun positions.
Yeah, we have
this one. We've debated already. Do you keep pushing pawns? Computer, of course, wants h4, h3.
Yeah, computer is kind of split between playing h4, h3 and also continuing to play in the center, which I don't mind, because I think if we're not actually getting very much on the king side, I don't think h4, h3 does. Like, it's obviously useful, but it's too tempy, sort of to bank for the future. We're not going to give mate immediately. I think fighting against d2, d4, if we can fight against d2, d4 here, at least a little bit, is probably also quite high on my agenda, which is why I like the idea of pushing d6, d5 here and saying, you know, I'm not going to let you have your comfortable 2 pawns in the center. Choose either d3 or e takes d5. It seems like there aren't really very many other choices here. And then we can use it, eventually play h4 anyway on the road.
Yeah, I'm curious. I can see it's a good move. It wouldn't come easy to me after we push the kingside pawns to think, okay, next order of business is let's open the center. Apparently the white pieces are so restricted by these pawns.
Yeah, I think by hand in a blitz game, you probably play something like b5, d4, bishop b7. And this is actually what he went for. He just as I was saying those words, the pawn appeared on b5. But now, yeah, we go d4, bishop b7, we go knight d2, I guess.
Still looks very nice. No?
Yeah, looks fantastic for black, honestly, because yeah, it's just so difficult to figure out where these pieces go. Like maybe you want, like, I don't know, queen e2, knight d3 to at least get them out somehow. Maybe in some positions you want to play f3, but
so with the bishop here, I can relate more.
Absolutely, h4, h3 plan very much gains in strength by having the bishop on b7. A game we've been sort of, well, not ignoring yet. One last game we haven't touched in the 5.5 group is Sumets against Manuel Petrosyan, where yet more Carlsbads are being debated. This one, the more sort of normal one. Black did not play a6 on move 3 at least, but pleasant for white, right?
No, isn't that normal? I mean, it's become a thing recently, but this for decades has been considered completely harmless.
Yeah,
we do with the knight on f3 and not the knight on c3.
Yeah, we should blame Magnus for this, yeah?
Yeah, he won a nice game against Nepomniachtchi, but yeah, I'm a bit surprised this has become a thing. And h6, I'm also mildly surprised by. Manuel obviously knows stuff. Maybe he was trying to transpose to some stuff he knows, and 3h6, whatever. But the usual reply is g6. And what are we afraid of exactly?
Yeah, this is not really supposed to be much of anything. This, I think, is the line where we had this kind of a somewhat legendary story from the very sort of old-timey Russian Olympiad forays, where in Kalvia in 2004, we were playing China in the last round, and Sergei Dalmatov, who was captaining the team, he was very, very certain about the lineup for that match. And we were supposed to have like fighting players playing for a win on white boards. And on the black boards, I was, I think, supposed to play some kind of a solid group against Busanji. And on board 4, he wanted Alexander Halifman to basically make a draw against some young player. Well, actually, maybe I wasn't playing as Busanji. Maybe El Khalif was supposed to play against Bu. It's, yeah, or maybe the very, very young. I'll check, doesn't matter. But the point was, Alexander Halifman was very late for the team meeting. And when he did show up for the team meeting, he showed up clearly injured because it was raining. And were you there?
And your team meeting now?
No, I'm in the Calvin. Yeah, you were definitely there. You remember there was this really, really long staircase to the beach, from the hotel to the beach. And basically he slipped and fell and hurt himself quite badly, and like was 30 minutes late for the team meeting and pretty much bleeding. And I mean, it wasn't very funny then. It's sort of funny now because it didn't really result in any permanent injuries. I'm not really laughing at his misfortune. And he showed up at the team meeting and kind of pointed to his face and said, you know, maybe put somebody else to play black on board 4. And Dalmatov said no. Dalmatov said, you will show up and you will make a draw on board 4. We know you can do it. Your repertoire is extremely solid. You will still make a comfortable draw. We're not worried. And then what happened was,
who are these other scrubs on your team, like Bareev or who else?
Morozevich. I think played 1. I played 2. There was, yeah, I can't remember the team exactly. It all kind of blends in my mind. And what happened was he showed up to play against a very, very young Chinese player. And he showed up basically like with half his face in bandages because he was still sort of bleeding from his injuries. And the young opponent, somehow by move 12 in this position after queen e4, queen f8, I think, or queen e4, queen e7, his young Chinese opponent by move 12 played both g4 and b4 because he thought, okay, because I think he felt like there is no way they would have put somebody on the team if these injuries were known yesterday. So it's clearly somebody who just hit his head. So I must play sharply for a win. Yeah, and he was lost by move 25, and El Khalif converted that advantage very comfortably. It was a very important victory as well, because we were kind of in a bitter fight for silver and needed that half a point quite badly. So yeah, that's story time for today.
What did we learn? You're not getting a rest day just by injuring yourself really badly.
Absolutely not, no.
Yeah, no new moves in this one. This one, yeah, I was surprised by h6, but I guess he's just comfortable playing these positions. I always thought white was a bit better here, but it looks like from all these 3a6, 3h6, whatever lines you get these quite a bit. People don't seem to mind all that much with black.
That was a very, very young Wang Yu. Yeah. Not, yeah. Sorry. I did check.
Chiparinov today plays this structure with the white pieces after he only got a quick draw with the black pieces the other day.
Yeah, it's from a somewhat different move order, but very, very similar in both the spirit and even the opening moves.
You know what? I'm confused by it mildly.
Yeah,
because we were asked if Andy Woodward, who is
what is happening here,
is a 12-year-old international master, would join us at 5:30. First of all, it is 5:30, and secondly, he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing.
Is this going to be a live interview? The computer says A5, but it does say you're much better. How do you feel about Rook 81, A4, knight D2?
Yeah, one of those.
It says 159.
Yeah, one of those confession box type deals.
Yeah, where, with engine.
Yeah, it is somewhat confusing.
Crooked information there.
Yeah, because the idea of inviting him into the studio definitely was floated before we went live on air, and Andy Woodward,
wasn't floated. We were told he comes at 5:30.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I guess he's going to come once his game is over if it goes well. And we should mention he's 12, which is younger than Ivanchuk, and he's also much better here.
Yeah,
out of the opening, Ivanchuk took some liberties, I think is fair to say. 6, 8, 5, like.
Yeah, I just don't think this is how you're supposed to play this sort of classical King's Indian these days,
or ever.
Forever, yeah. But like maybe it was still supposed to be okay in round about the Zurich 1953 where Bronstein was doing this, but yeah, I think people moved on. And if you don't try to equalize straight away, like I dabbled in this a little bit, but my feeling was if you're not trying to push for some sort of like immediate C6 D5 counterplay straight out of the opening here somehow, and you let white do what Andy did here.
All these sharp lines. I'm not sure how they stand with A6, Rook B8, C5, B5. But yeah, to your point, if white stabilizes, then he's always seriously better, especially with 4 minor pieces still on the board. So it's a bit curious, but you can see me jumping up and down. I need the first break of the day, or after that we'll be back with the clash of our presenters. See you then.
Welcome back to round 8 of the Sunway Sitges, Chessable Sunway Sitges International Chess Festival, where we have exciting events on pretty much all the top boards. In particular, a very, very interesting, what I assume is a bluff going on board 2 in the game between Hans Niemann and Aravind. Aravind so far spent sort of negative 6 minutes. The game, he is 6 minutes above the starting time. He is also a full piece down. And the engine is really not in love with it at all. Hans, in the meantime, is down to pretty much half an hour. Clearly not as familiar with what's going on the board, but also absolutely not shirking from the responsibility of accepting the piece sacrifice and trying to refute it over the board, which is something you would have expected from him, not knowing what we know about how ambitious he is in general. But yeah, E6, E5 here.
He's also making all the best moves by E5. Seems bold.
Yeah, was played in 9 seconds. Clearly, Aravind has looked at this and is prepared to take this risk. But honestly, like, as far as these types of, you generally want to call them semi-bluffs, but, as far as they go, this evaluation is really, really alarming. Because when you do something like this, it's like, I don't know, -1 for you or whatever. And you can see the outlines of, I don't know, like you can see what you're trying to achieve. Whereas here, you're a full piece down. Queen G5 looks like it's a double attack, but your knight on D7 is also hanging, so you can't really play Queen G5. You can spend a tempo on Rook B8, but then White will probably play Rook B1. And you can't really attack the pawn on B2 in any additional fashion. You would like to play Knight C5, but that pretty much always allows Queen takes C4 as well, as far as I can tell. I can't really make Knight C5 work anywhere. Yes, you would like to open the C file, but not if it continues shedding material. So, I mean, he clearly has something in mind. Nobody has 96 minutes from the 90 starting without having a pretty clear-cut idea, but it just doesn't look right.
I was wondering if we keep going down the first line, which the computer doesn't love, but maybe you can make White find.
Yeah, it doesn't bottom out. Like this being a full piece down position, you sometimes follow the first line further and further down. It starts becoming like -4 instead of -2. It's not bottoming out here, but neither does it get anywhere near zeros.
Yeah, curious. Yeah, very hard to say the expected value of these things. Usually, we judge it depending on the position you get in the game, like worked or didn't work. But this does seem like an excessively risky strategy indeed, particularly against Hans, who is, not only very combative and precise here, but also not known to be intimidated by many men.
He will look at this and he will think, okay, I'm a piece up by move 20. It doesn't seem like I'm getting mated. Why should I be unhappy?
Rook HB1, how easy a move is that, for example?
Rook HB1 drops the evaluation from +2 to plus 1.5, but it still doesn't really throw all the advantage away.
More common sense to me.
For me, the big question is, let's say if I play King F1 instead of King D2, does that immediately make Black okay?
Yep.
More than okay, yeah. We just go Knight B6 and Queen B6, and the pawn on B2 is so weak that this counterplay and our pair of passers on C4 and D3 instantly justifies everything we've done. King D2 in the meantime played, yeah. I'm expecting Aravind to continue blitzing for some time yet. And he really should, because his extra hour and a bit is one of the major reasons he might be okay eventually in this position, if we trust the evaluation. I think we kind of do trust the evaluation.
Yeah, still. Half an hour plus 30 seconds per move for 20 moves. With an extra piece, you need to ask some very tough questions to make this make this a factor.
No, this is one of the most striking examples of the genre I've seen in a while, because as we've mentioned, like, this is not Sesse, but it's basically the same engine that Sesse runs, just on a slightly smaller computer. So if it says +2 here, you're probably not equalizing against best play. And yeah, this is a very, very interesting practical choice by the Indian youngster. He's also, let's hope he's not at the board, right? Or he is at the board.
He's at the board. Yeah. Is he out of book now? That would be that would be odd. Like, you blitz into this position, just +2, and now you start thinking. That would be
This is kind of really unfortunate. If
also, I'm not sure how much this means, but computer instead of D3 check is going rook C5, F4, D3 check, which it's also not in love with, but maybe still noteworthy
is less
that he's not even playing the first line in his.
Yeah, maybe could he have actually mixed something up?
I guess.
Yeah. No, that is then really kind of poor news.
Because this is apparently less bad. Don't ask me why, but I can see all kinds of G5, and apparently, yeah, this is more of a mess.
Yeah. Well, actually, sort of misclicking in an attempt to play very, very quickly would be extreme bad news here for Aravind, because
it sometimes happens. Like you've seen all kinds of files, and maybe you get a position with D3 and rook C5, and then now you pause and you wonder, what do I do after rook C5, knight C3? The answer is probably resign, and then you check later and see, but I was supposed to go. Rook C5 and move B4.
When C3 square wasn't really available.
Knight C3.
Yeah, if this is indeed what happened, it's just, I think, I want to say all of us have done it. I don't know if all of us have done it, but definitely those of us who are theoretically minded must have done it once or twice over careers. It's never fun.
Usually you're not a piece down, though. So it's still painful once you realize you mix stuff up, but here the stakes are even higher.
Yeah, absolutely. Is UNG potentially fighting for advantage already, or is Karen completely fine?
Karen is completely lost.
-6. What have we blundered? Rook B1, knight D4 is mate, right? This is what we blundered. This is, just mate. Okay. And if rook D1, knight D4 is still mate.
E3 doesn't help.
Oh my!
I'm assuming F3, E3. Well, knight C2 wins the rook.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, resigns more or less.
Just a full rook, basically. Yeah, we can't.
I take everything back. The bishop F6, queen F6 decision turned out to be very savvy.
Yeah, but you really have to question the idea of going G4 or G1 here. It feels like
knight D2, no?
Yeah, just go knight D2, try to develop normally. Have the rook B1 resource in your back pocket. Yeah, already after G4, rook D8, you're in trouble, and here you have already basically lost the game.
You can't play knight D2.
Yeah,
this doesn't look like it's going well, and it won't. Yeah, not every day you just win pretty much out of the opening. I'm not sure how many moves he had to make by himself. Looked like he wasn't booked until here. And yeah, rook D8, E4, knight B3 is not exactly rocket science to Yu Young-yi. So, pleasant day at the office. We've seen it yesterday in the Puranic game with white, but to win out the opening with black, it's an even rarer achievement.
In the end, Karen goes rook A2. And once again, like the win is always exactly the same. You just go knight D4, and
still
now
threatening checkmate.
And you have to play king D2 so as not to get mated immediately. But then after bishop B6, that rook is just gone. I think you just wait for knight D4 and you resign. This is just going to be a very, very painful little.
Tough 2 rounds for Grigoryan. No? Last round he was hit with his rook f7. Now he doesn't make it out of the opening with white.
Yeah.
And these queen c2 nimzos, they really aren't the kind of lines that one can just freestyle so easily. Now there is a serious body off theory and all this. And yeah, it's didn't go well today.
Yeah.
How's Alexenko doing? Does he get that pawn?
He's done something quite clever there, yeah.
Business.
And this is why I think the engine was preferring queen d5 to bishop e3, because taking on c5 with the queen would have been preferable, because we don't lose touch with the pawn on h6. Bishop h3 is a I think a clever option there, and just abandoning the pawn on c5, but saying either give me the h6 pawn or make an incredibly ugly bishop e3 move, after which we will have like structural compensation for days.
It's a tough move to make.
Yeah.
Probably not great, you know.
Yeah. Expecting to immediately see the engine start preferring black, but I'm not that surprised. Yeah. This structure is just full of this, meaning that white probably does something like in the current position, you go, I don't know, knight f3, you go rook h1, using the fact that there is now a semi-open h file to pretend to have threats on, but they're not going to be very convincing threats, I would guess, the amount of pieces left on the board.
White is still perfectly fine, but
yeah, of course,
probably not much better anymore. Yeah, Ravind seems to confirm our suspicions by
thinking for
taking more time.
Yeah, it also doesn't look like somebody who isn't entirely happy with how things are going. Yeah, hands on military facepalm, as that particular hand position is called. When a single facepalm is not enough. Knight takes a5 played by Yu Yangyi, which I assume doesn't really spoil anything. It's just kind of a bit of a sadistic move, because you kind of have to play one and then I'll play knight
go back and go knight b3.
Yeah,
I really want that e5 pawn gone.
Yeah, very important to pick up the pawn on a5 before going back into collecting everything.
I like it.
Yeah, sort of practical decision. Nice.
This is still.
Yeah, we're still getting mated in all of these positions. If you touch the f pawn, black goes e4, e3. You're also not really escaping after that. So
this doesn't help.
No,
the king's chances. No, it still resigns, but yeah, nice touch there. Takes a5.
Yeah, really kind of driving the point home, just how helpless this king on e1 is.
What would have been cooler if it wins is to play knight c5 once. Repeat the position once.
Yeah, I think
now we take on a5.
Yeah, just visit all the squares.
Now we go back.
Yeah, we can also go b3, c1, and then back to b3. I think on that. No. Then rook g2. Yeah.
Now we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're laughing here, but it's not particularly fun for Karen, who had a very good tournament until the rest day, and then I mean maybe he just is very passionately Team France supporter, and
where you could argue his game against Demchenko, although he won, or it was a sign that maybe things weren't ideal, because he's a very, very strong player, and that game was a bit all over the place, but yeah, nothing dramatic happened. He's just losing to two very strong players, but to lose with white
in this
without
fashion,
getting to play a move basically is rare. Might be 3 blitzed out by Yu Yangyi.
Yeah,
enjoying himself.
And the jokes have finally started. Bear 856 suggesting that Karen should complain to the manager. It was inevitable, I guess.
That's Karen. It's not Karen.
People don't care.
People stop caring?
Yeah. People used to care, but things have changed.
People also stop Karen.
Yeah, 2 people in a row have done a very good job of stopping Karen. Dead in the tracks. Yeah, this is a somewhat quietish game where guess Jules is a bit better now.
Yeah. It's always a bit easier to play with white. There's no direct shenanigans with these light square bishop exchanged. Don't love it with black.
Yeah, and by the way, while we're scrolling through, there was a very peculiar position in Andrei Yasipenko's game. That's a bit further down the pairings, but yeah, I was wondering where this was coming from. The white king somehow on f1 by move 20, which is not very usual, but
so he's playing for wins. So he's playing a sort of slow, slightly off bit.
He just snapped on f1 in this position.
He took c6. Looks like he knows what he's doing, more or less.
A playable position, yeah, a position I would still prefer white in, but yeah, you always have counterplay, and knight on d2 is not really where it's supposed to be.
To untangle because this guy is weak. Yeah, seems like he's taking less of a risk than Aragon today.
Absolutely. Yeah, he did. Yeah, but by this point, I think this is a long enough thing to confirm that something has gone.
Yu Yang-yi is finally done.
94, yeah.
Did he have to go knight d4, Yu Yang-yi, or was it enough to take the a5 pawn?
No, he went back to d4, and the resignation did come because, yeah,
not much to do.
Not a lot to discuss here. So Yang-yi goes to 6.5 out of 8, the first one to win the game today. Very, very.
Starting concert next one?
Seems like, yeah, there's some live music being warmed up for our delectation next door. Excellent news. This is what this show was lacking. Kind of a Spotify playlist being performed live by band.
Can't wait. Very cranky today, crankier than usual. Maybe my lost skill to sleep is finally catching up with my otherwise very sunny disposition.
I'm sunnier. The chat wants to know, how did the morning lecture go?
It was great. I got standing ovations.
Before, during, and after?
No, just after.
That's one ovation. You used the plural there, and I.
No, there were multiple ovations after.
What was the subject?
I don't know. Look at this beautiful game. Highly recommend it. It's very educational. I'm just awkward about praising myself, and I think it's for others to judge if it was the best hour of their life or just the best chess lecture of their life. I can't speak to people's feelings about it.
It is very personal, but those are the two choices. We know this much. And there is a link very helpfully provided in chat by one of our moderators.
Yeah. Also, I didn't look smurfy at all. Maybe I did. I haven't checked. But yeah, it's.
Yeah, this one is going sort of along the lines of what we described, with Black putting the bishop on b7 and now very much saying, I would like my pawn to be on h3, so that the bishop on b7 becomes even beastlier than it is right now. Looks very promising for Black, honestly. Yeah, we're pretty much never castling, but we're also not very unhappy about it.
So far, there's not a lot of pieces chasing our king around.
Yeah,
because they're all back here.
They are very much all back there. What else do we have?
How's Mr. Ivanchuk doing in his battle against 12-year-old Andy Woodward?
Yeah, the engine really hates this, but I think...
Do you play f5 here?
I don't think I ever play f5. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, but I think the problem is rather that f5 is maybe the best move and it gives a very large advantage. But if you don't play f5, you haven't really thrown much of it away, I would suspect. Like if he played on Queen F2 or whatever.
I guess he wants to start some operations here. Knight H7 is indicating. Okay, King H2 was maybe too collaborative. Let's go Queen F2.
Yeah, Queen F2 is
same. Okay, computer still not in love with it, but at least you can see what he has in mind.
Yeah, this gets messier. Yeah, and F5 I think is without provocation. Your hand probably doesn't reach for it because giving up the E5 square is not something that you're used to. But black has just such poor pieces to exploit the E5 square. The bishop really, like it needs to be a knight on E5, and both knights are far, far away from it. And yeah, you definitely can start pushing for C5 later, Queen F2, Rook F1. You're just better everywhere. Yeah, you're better everywhere, but the starting move might not be one that comes automatically. On the neighboring board there, Gwen Jones is playing against one of the many, many gifted youth that this tournament is well populated with. Artik Nigmatov. I spoke to Gwen earlier today. He seemed somewhat aggrieved by the fact that everybody and their dog seems to know theory, and it's very difficult to get a good position. And it was suggested
complaint from Chessable authors.
It was suggested to him that just sort of playing mainline stuff might be a solution to it, because even if they do know theory, you will still get a good position because of this being mainline stuff. And it looks like he took it to heart today.
Yeah, this H4 actually is very much mainline stuff.
Yeah,
it might look like he's messing around, but this is a critical move.
Absolutely, I think it's the biggest problem with this move order by far. And
still seems to know theory though. G3.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong about people knowing theory. We should also acknowledge that this was an actual problem. But yeah, but he got something. It's kind of a similar setup to what Tabatabai is trying today against Kirill. But the pawn h6 is still alive, meaning that black will have to struggle with it for the rest of the game. It's not unplayable because black has achieved some kind of a Grunfeld dish type setup on the queen side, which generally provides long-term counterplay, particularly if you get to play it on b5, b4, and endgames might be okay, but you also just might get mated on the king side at some point.
One of those, it's going to be.
Yep.
Queen d8 doesn't look like it's pushing the envelope.
Well, he got chased away.
Okay, fair enough.
And now the knight jumps are probably annoying enough for you to have to invest a tempo in the queen move. Yeah, some kind of position like this. I think Wayne should be quite happy with this because it's clearly a very fighting position in which I think you have to assume you're doing well here with white with the pawn already on h6, but it's still a mess. And
if you're not doing well here, then where are you?
Yeah, this is pretty much the absolute best case scenario for all of these h6 lines, sorry, h4 lines.
Okay, Aravind is trying to catch up with Hans Niemann on the clock on this very move. Still needs a while, but yeah. It's probably mainly kicking himself then, now remembering whatever his prep was, although I'm not sure. So the computer is somewhat changing its tune from what I can see here, now that we gave it more time. Nah, not really.
Yeah, I think it's just the depth. Although it's a bit of an improvement, right? Somehow.
Maybe not. Just miss Queen F5. Oof. Computers are tough.
Computers are strong at the end. Hard.
Okay, let's check. On the other line, it currently doesn't hate too much.
Yeah, these are the kinds of really weird positions where basically white stabilizes completely, goes like queen a3, c3 to stop attacks against the b2 pawn. You can keep the bishop goes to h1. It's very difficult to attack it once it reaches the h1 square. But black just kind of starts shuffling and says, make progress. Your pieces are not very impressive so far. But I think what normally happens is that it takes white a while to actually make progress, but they will eventually. Because the best I can imagine here is that the pawn h3 gets picked up, but we don't really care all that much.
I'd be happy to see that go. Actually, for rook h1, he gets. Yeah, it doesn't look like there is some hidden 0-0 by letting the engine run long enough. And also Aravind, is out of book now, which also doesn't help, because at least you want to tell your opponent, okay, you're better, but you have to find all the computer moves against the computer moves that I will be blitzing out. Well, if we start freestyling when I'm a piece down, it's less enticing proposition.
Yeah. Definitely a bit of a weird one, because this types of memory malfunctions in
we don't know. Maybe it was D3 is the right move, but then we'll be out to blitz into this position and say I'll take it from there. I know computer doesn't like it, but I'll give it a check. And something went wrong. How's Korobov doing?
Judging by King G8, H8 kind of shot, although it's actually unfair. Yeah. I wanted to say it's an indication of just how little idea Black has here to make progress, but we're preparing for 95 very clearly, because we no longer have to worry about 97. So the engine goes rook c4 and says you might have to go back. So a clever move by Anton. Whenever I look at positions like this, so I'm very tempted to just say that, like, I'm probably happier here playing black. I don't know if it's true though, because I assume white can pass here. Like if I go h3, my position is probably still completely fine, or not.
You gotta be worried a bit.
G5, h5.
Later, maybe that's a bit overzealous. Compy is saying black is now much better. It might take some.
It was, So the idea does seem to be, now that we've sort of prepared for 95, the idea, if white passes, does appear to be b5, b9, b6, to which white supposedly doesn't have a particularly comfortable reply, with the knight coming into c4 with a massive tempo. I think it is simpler to play, at least with black. I don't know if you can make much of a stronger argument. Black definitely has more clear-cut plans. White is very much reacting to whatever it is that you're doing.
Drinking coffee.
I will react to it by attempting to drink coffee myself unsuccessfully, because I'm all out of coffee.
Are you a bunch of coffees? You've been providing us with much needed caffeine. I'm just aimlessly clicking here. Stop me when something catches your attention. Kevin Go making an appearance on the DGT boards. That's not fair. He's been here before. This is some.
This looks like this whole theory.
Debate.
I think I remember the time when this was supposed to be just straight up bad for black, and honestly, looking at the valuations here, maybe it still is if you play it as slowly, but Kevin probably didn't play it as precisely as he
memory serves. It was important to go a6 here very quickly. I'm not sure what the difference is, but this is whatever. Ruana Carlson and other top games. And when I looked at this was some time ago. I didn't like what I saw here. Not quite sure what the difference is. I guess now the bishop goes to d5 directly, and we're in time for something. Anyway, it seemed like a lot of play for a pawn, but still pawn. And Bernatsky.
Yeah, this looks a bit slow, and things are definitely improving for
black here.
Hanging in there.
Yeah.
Good job, Panatsky.
Obviously an improvement, and white now needs to start thinking about cutting losses and perhaps simplifying into something, which is obviously a good outcome. Andy Woodward did play Queen F2 against Vasil. Vasil probably still needs to go in with something like he played Queen C8 very quickly, which actually,
really is like now I'm starting to think about F5. If you also put your queen, in the danger zone or away from the king.
Yeah, F5 is looking better with every move here. F5, if knight f8 is
aware, so I've just covered G3. Now this feels like the right thing to do. Move before I was still hesitant, but now this looks just huge.
It looks crushing, and it feels like Vasil is kind of testing his young opponent a little bit too much today.
He's trying to make him, make tough strategic decisions, but the pieces are on such random squares that you might regret once he starts taking them.
Yep. Yeah, an absolutely fantastic victory, of course, for the young man, beating a legend of the game. At 12 is
way to jinx him. It's not over.
Yeah, if it happens, obviously, I do not really want to jinx Andy here, but if he were to go on and win this game, it would be a day to remember for sure.
December 20.
Yes. In this tournament so far, he hasn't. Yeah, I was going to say he probably beat some grandmasters already here, but seems like he hasn't. Seems like he played and drew against Aryan Chopra in a previous round, but he hasn't beaten anyone above 2350 so far. He's on very, very creditable 5 out of 7, but because I guess of his own rating, he wasn't paired up until today. Played Korobov and lost to him in round 4, and is now playing Chuka.
How's El Touch doing?
This is actually, I was wondering if it is what it looks like. It is a very, very old school approach to 7 knights, 7 knight b5 Sveshnikov.
Yes, C5 is more or less a memory check, or at least it used to be. But looks like El Tash knew what he was doing, and white is just nowhere near better here. Actually, I would argue it's probably worse. So, well, not a successful opening for
here. Yes, in the composition, I wouldn't be so sure. Like the composition does look sharpish because he reacted with this. Yeah, this b5 move seems like
it doesn't love. Yeah. B5 was maybe a bit loose,
but you probably are still okay as long as you.
How good this is, but
it seems very logical at this.
Yeah, in trouble.
Yeah, stopping bishop b3 from happening and then playing e5 e4 would have been my default reaction here. I think Altaj is trying to be a little bit too fancy, and I mean he's not doing that poorly, but his last decision on our top boards. Yeah, you're a little bit better here with white, but black should be d5. Yeah, we go queen d7, I think. Rook c8, we maybe go like takes rook d5 or something. Yeah, might be blundering knight a5 now. Yeah, I thought I had the file, but actually the file doesn't really give me very much with the bishop on a3, or even this and then king f8, king e8. Yeah, it's just what this must be wrong, right? They just played king g1, king h8, king g2, king g8. Like there's more way
malfunction.
Yeah,
it's a stupid move, unless they made eye contact instead.
Yeah, but like even in case of wink wink nudge nudge nudge, you do something else. I think like this really doesn't look like.
Yeah, I think that's the board acting up.
Yeah. The move King G2 G1 just doesn't occur to you, and also like you really need to be sure your opponent caught your eye and understood you correctly to expect King H8.
I'm not sure this game was drawn like that. I have my doubts actually.
Yeah,
one explanation could be one side offered a draw. I was told,
and we can't do it.
I accept, but we can't do it. But we can. If you trust me, we can move back and forth. But I don't think that's what happened. So we'll
await confirmation.
We'll keep an eye on it.
We'll await confirmation. If the game has indeed been drawn, it's obviously a very good result for Kirill, who be a point ahead of the field most likely, with Aravind currently in trouble and only 2 rounds to go, which is a very comfortable situation to be in. For him and probably white tomorrow against somebody.
This just doesn't happen, does it? Like when I play such ridiculous moves.
Yeah. And I mean, they must know you can't offer draws until move 30. So like this entire scenario feels a bit far-fetched. But then again, like the combination of the really absurd moves and also the draw on our
being a board malfunction both on the G2 and the G8 square will also be sort of odd.
Yeah.
This might have happened.
Yeah.
We need some intel. It feels a little wrong, doesn't it? If they did that, because clearly those are what they consider the best moves. That's just a way to bend the 30 move rule.
Honestly feels a bit odd on a number of levels, including
once again assuming this happened. We don't know yet.
I don't really. Yeah, I don't really know why Amin wouldn't just continue. It's not like White is running very many risks, and he does need to win this game because of the tournament situation. So many questions.
I could see him thinking, okay, now with the H6 pawn gone, it's just nothing. But yeah, odd sequence.
Colleague 606 says if they both accidentally agreed to a draw, a double forfeit would be the correct decision. This happened before. Yeah, I mean,
but they didn't agree to a draw. They're allowed to make a threefold repetition, which they did. It just this one makes so little sense that it's a bit leaves a bit of an aftertaste.
Does
Once again, assuming happened, we don't know. We'll wait for confirmation. All right, let's do a little tour. Aravind still in deep thought. Has a bunch of options, but nothing that equalizes according to the computer, which makes us wonder because he blitzed all the way here. If he either mix something up or if he just only knew E5 is a piece sacrifice, after which the computer says I'm much worse, but I can give a check on D3, and then I think I got it from there, which would be strange preparation, but you never know exactly what happened when some mishaps like these happen to players, because it's a lot of stuff to prepare and you don't know you'll get this very position on the board that day. In that case, it wouldn't happen, but normally it's one of the 100 things you checked, or maybe didn't check it for today at all. So when playing someone like Hans, I'm assuming he can play all the first moves like one C4 today. So there's always reasons, and it's very hard to speculate. It looks bad, of course, when it does happen. That you blitz out some sequence, and then you either mix something up, or your own device is a piece down. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm still team mix-up because I don't think anybody actually stops analyzing and says, I will, like we get here and I start playing. This is really not a position in which you can, like, you can put
forget your analysis. And it would be very strange to blitz into this so confidently. Then you start wondering a little bit.
Yeah, we definitely have some questions, both the seemingly drawn game on board one, and also the one that interests the chat the most as well is obviously the Aravind game, because it's very unusual to see this particular
timing sequence, like everything, including d3 check, blitzed out, and then already I think 30 plus minutes spent after king d2.
Hans went knight f3 here, takes bishop d2, took king e2.
e5 isn't even the main line. Yeah, e5 I don't think, at least at our depth, we haven't really tried leaving it running for like 5 minutes, but the engine definitely doesn't immediately suggest e5 as anywhere near the only move or the best move. Yeah, as I mentioned, some kind of positional solutions like knight 7 b6 followed by f5 and then followed by just sort of shuffling, claiming that both the g2 and the d2 bishops are restrained and restricted, I guess. Yeah, and we have some compensation here.
Yeah, so far Hans has reacted perfectly, made all the first computer moves, and we'll see if he can keep doing it. In the Jules Moussard game.
Yeah, we're pushing a little bit with white, yeah, as is often the case in these types of positions. Yeah.
Jules will be happy. Got a play position, which is also comfortable. Often nowadays there are synonyms. When you say something's playable, you really mean it. White is better. Very few better positions that aren't playable. Some playable positions that aren't better, but I think these words are used fairly interchangeably.
In particular for I think positions you are aiming for with white. Yeah, with black, I think playable might mean something else.
Well, with black it might mean I'm worse, but it's messy or whatever. But
yeah, with white it really does seem like this is the meaning. Andy Woodward did go f5 95, which I would say
it was really begging for that.
Yeah. And also, like, even f6 97 is a threat now. Yeah, like, I'm not sure I would be very happy cashing that in, because I think, like, if that doesn't win on the spot, black will have some compensation for that exchange. Like,
best of luck.
Yeah, I mean, it might win on the spot, which is the problem.
h8.
Yeah, let's show some, like, bishop c6. I think is a normal move here, trying to get rid of that bishop and knight on d5. And yeah, now we go in. I take a go knight e6. If you give me time to go queen e8, queen e8, queen e7, I will claim I'm not even worse, right? But
yeah, drew this error. But yeah, computer doesn't hate it as much as I thought it would.
Yeah, I would actually be somewhat reluctant with white to go in if I don't find a way to absolutely crush here.
Because I think I'm winning here.
I'd much rather, if we go back to the position after bishop c6, I think I'm tempted to just play something slower. I just don't know exactly what. Yeah, actually, like a line bishop takes d5 and then knight d7, knight d5, you also will start feeling that maybe we've given some advantage away.
It still doesn't look like black is having too lovely a time, but it's not collapsing for now. Compy goes ED.
Yeah, Compy even goes ED and says, yeah, I mean, I will plan something on e6 in a position like this, and that is now completely lost.
This is bad.
Yeah, still a very, very promising position for the American youngster. And yeah, Vasil he's doing this weird thing where he's clearly running massive risks, but he's also not doing it fast. He's not really trying to, I don't know, push some sort of an advantage on the clock and perhaps wait until his opponent starts playing poorly because he has to play quickly. He's investing a lot of time in these extremely, let's call them speculative, risky moves.
Yeah, maybe just got into a bad position and couldn't figure out a way out of it. Knight d5 on the board, and yeah, another tough decision because you also with black, you're probably not too thrilled to allow this, but you might have to.
Yeah. The website also gives the top board as a draw, so we have to, I guess, proceed under the assumption that they somehow managed
how
to end the game there.
I don't think you're allowed to talk and say, for draw. Yeah, except we're not allowed to do that, so can we just go king g1, king h8, king g2, king g8, and everybody's cool with it, no? Like,
yeah, that would be sort of bending that I wouldn't be very happy with. Yeah, somewhat surprising that this happened.
We want to know What happened? Tell the truth. Right. Since Aravind does not seem to intend to make a move anytime soon, we'll go on our next little break, come back with 100% guarantee a move by Aravind, which means this break might last 55 minutes. See you very, very soon. Welcome back, everybody. I lied to you. I promised we'd come back with a move by Aravind, but he hasn't made one. And here we are.
We are helpless in the face of him not being able to take a decision. In the meantime, we did get some clarification about board one. Indeed, there was some sort of nudge, wink, wink here. The players did decide that they are okay with the draw and just made those moves, which, yeah, I think is honestly not great and could have been done in a slightly less in-your-face fashion. But
yeah, even if there is some silent agreement, you're not supposed to do that, but no one's stopping you from making normal moves and then shaking hands at move 30. While move repetitions are often, of course, used if both sides are okay with it, but usually they make at least some amount of sense. While here, none of these moves make any sense. King G1 doesn't make any sense.
King H8 is
King H8
even more
really
absurd,
a bad move. Like weakening your position quite a bit by weakening F7 and taking the king away from the center when it wants to head there. And after this, black is actually seriously worse. And instead of punishing, obviously, that was the, whatever you want to call it, agreement or idea, they kept doing this. But yeah, what is there to say? It leaves a bit of a bitter taste. And this is the game between the two players that had won all their games so far in this event. Once again, I don't think anyone would judge them for making a draw. Tabatabai decided.
Yeah, it's not really the draw. It's that of all the ways to get from move 20 to move 30 here, they chose the one that are sort of very strongly says you have these rules here. We don't like them, so we're just going to demonstrate our dislike and sort of our disdain for them in the strongest possible way.
No, it's also making it so obvious. Like there is zero chance ever that by normal play they would make these moves. So you're just saying, yeah, we don't care.
But yeah, game is over. I think we've expressed our opinion on it, and yeah, by this point, I guess we just move on.
Yeah. Another game that's over is Grigoryan against Yu Yang Yi. That was not a draw, although it was the same number of moves. And actually, it was 23 moves. The other was 24. And yeah, Grigoryan lost with white in 23 moves, which, yeah, he won't be happy about it.
Yeah, and I mean, 20 of them were sort of theory, which like really begs. I mean, not 20, I guess 18.
I know till here.
Yeah. And yeah, you really aren't supposed to lose this position in 5 moves or this. Honestly, like if you don't know exactly what you're doing, and maybe you wouldn't even be going BA. Like I think.
Yeah, that's not a question.
An argument to just play
G3, E3 or G3.
E3 or G3, and then bishop H3, straight everything, castle short. Yeah, like
not losing this all that often. Are
we? I think honestly, yeah. In terms of cutting your losses, just establishing some development here rather than, in particular, this. Yeah, just bishop H3 here and castle.
Yeah, draw.
Yeah.
Could even argue white is better because
a tiny bit better, but
access to the square, but
not really. Yeah, not really.
Yeah, that was out because also.
Yeah, before A5 has moved 16 and by move 23, and actually the game only reached move 23 because Yuangi decided to include knight takes A5. It could have been 3 moves shorter. So
sped it up with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough break for Karen.
Yeah, the tournament is kind of.
I think you're right. BA5 is sort of irresponsible.
Yeah. If you don't know exactly how to make a draw there, I'm probably never making that move. Yeah, I'm just
also clearly you're playing against some prepared opponent who's blitzing this out, and you start thinking, I might not be better. Let's get the pieces out and call it a day. So that's what we have. Then on board number 2, we have this wild preparation by Aravind, who went for a line that's already slightly offbeat, this bishop G4, but he's following an idea championed by, or introduced by Jordan van Foreest, apparently, which, yeah, the computer's not in love with, but so far it's still a normal gamble. You hope white doesn't find all the best moves, and here you can claim. Might be slightly worse against best play, but I have decent compensation for the pawn. Well, he blitzed out e5, sacrificing a piece. Maybe sort of hoping he wouldn't get called on it. And he did get called after ed, king e2.
Okay, now
d3,
this is
king e2.
now extremely confusing. Because we kind of briefly announced it on air. Yeah, can we take a look? Did something happen there? I don't understand anything. Like we just had what really did appear to be Andy Woodward seemingly knock on the doors of our studio, and it was suggested to us that he might be a guest in our studio at around, maybe actually slightly earlier than it is right now. But his game is still live on our screen. I really don't understand.
Are we doing live interviews?
Yeah, like I really don't understand what is happening here.
In confession box, we've seen before that it's not typical that you talk about your position with commentators who, at least in one case here, are highly qualified chess players while the game is ongoing.
Yeah, we can both read. I think I'm absolutely not.
Too, yeah, we have knowledge that players really shouldn't have.
Yeah. I don't really understand what's happening, but maybe eventually we'll get clarified. Honestly, I don't even understand how he can be here, because like this is a very, very kind of a generous interpretation of what the playing area is.
Well, it was with the head organizer, clearly.
Yeah, okay.
There is some plan, and he's not doing anything wrong. But now I'm not sure how to act. Do we debate the? No, obviously we can't talk the position with him on air.
Yeah,
so we can just ask him, how's life?
Also, honestly, how wise is it? Like he's playing a game against Vasily Ivanchuk.
29 minutes on the clock. Like, how long is the interview? Half an hour?
Yeah, I mean, why would you want that during a kind of an important game against probably the strongest opponent he's ever played in his life? We'd be extremely happy to see him here after he finishes. Absolutely no question. But like, this is a game he should be concentrating on. I don't really understand what's going on here and the reasoning behind any of it.
We are confused. We need more information.
We are,
as did Aravind too, after Eternal Thought. When knight b6, e5, which the computer does not applaud his decision. I also don't know what he wants. Rook g5.
Kind of a mixture of rook g5, rook b5, rook a5. But yeah, like engine just goes rook c1, or frees up the bishop to put it on some better squares. You're now like f2 appears to be really the only vulnerable important pawn in white's camp, and the queen on b6 needs two moves to attack it. In the meantime, white will play, I don't know, queen c3, rook a b1. Once it's attacked, we'll play rook f1. Where is the compensation?
Seems like the answer is there is none. It's +3 now. Yeah. Bunch of strange things happening on all three top boards.
Yeah, and also away from them as well. Yeah, this has been a bit of a bizarre round all round.
Confused. Jules, provide some.
Been dazed and confused. Yeah, rook c1 is a very kind of a sensible choice there by Jules, but it also, I thought the engine liked something more direct after b5. b5 is a very kind of a critical idea here, and yeah, I did see that the engine was going d c5, trying to absolutely lock out that bishop on a7. I guess the big question has to be if d5 and knight e5 is like, why are we going d5 and allowing c5? Can't we take and rook? But I guess maybe we lose to bishop f4. Yeah, bishop f4.
Bishop f4.
Yeah, bishop f4 specifically, and then e5 is a discovered check, right? So yeah, that does make more sense now. Okay, we will get some clarification now, I guess. This is still incredibly confusing to me, I have to say.
What's going on? Aren't you playing?
Okay. Yeah, we will take great care not to put your position on the screen, but I'm still not really sure what's going on here. This is extremely unusual.
we are being joined by Andy Woodward, who's currently playing a game against Vasil Ivanchuk. What are they making you do? Why do you have to do interviews during your game? Isn't your clock running? What's happening there?
I mean, yeah, so we moved bulbs to bulb 27 because he wasn't going to show up because he got sick.
Okay.
So we moved, and then the other people that they moved to bulb 11, and then they played on that bulb, and then.
So this is not really your game.
Yeah.
That explains it a bit. Because we were so worried because looked like you had a great position against Ivanchuk.
But you really shouldn't be here, yeah.
You
really shouldn't be here. So how's your tournament going? How are you feeling here?
Yeah, like I have 6 out of 8. Well, 5 out of 7, but I got 6 out of 8. And then yeah, like the tournament's nice, and like I'm jumping a bit of rating, so that's something. And then yeah, I was really lucky to like get paled up this round. I thought I was gonna like play down because I was like really close to the middle. So I really like just was honored to get paled against him. And getting sick, it happens to everyone. So it makes sense that he like decided to.
So are you happy that you got the free point, or are you disappointed you didn't get to play the legend?
I mean, I'm happy because I'll get to play another couple of high rateds, but at the same time I'm like disappointed because I felt like this was a big opportunity to try to.
Yeah, that would be. Really enjoyed playing against Ivanchuk. I think you would have enjoyed this game, and he would also probably analyze with you afterwards if you wanted to. So yeah, that's an experience that is going missing there. But yeah, but 6 out of 8.
Thrilled about that point. So to each their own.
Yeah, but yeah, 6 out of 8. You probably get two interesting pairings in the last couple of rounds. I have to admit, I'm not very well versed in your career so far. How are you doing for norms?
I have 1 journal.
And in this tournament, I'm not sure what the regulations are. I saw you played Korobov. This game, I guess, doesn't count towards the norm, right? So you're probably not going to be fighting for a norm here, right? Yeah, okay. That's a bit regrettable. So that's another level of. So I assume you're not chasing the record, right? The record is a little bit too low these days to be chasing the record. But still, obviously, a grandmaster norm by the age of 12 is spectacular. Are you working alone? Are you working with somebody?
I'm working with Yaroslav Jarabuk. So he's a grandmaster from
Ukraine. We know Yaro. Yaro is a.
So Peter has all these questions about your chess career, but I want to know other stuff. Where are you from?
I'm from the United States.
That much I know, but
it's a large country.
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. Beautiful. And how do you get good at chess so young? How do you combine chess with, I'm assuming, going to school, or how does it work?
Yeah, I'm homeschooled. We started homeschooling. Yeah. We go to school 1 day a week on Friday. The rest of the days we have homework. So we get to like plan all day. And then it's really all on all time. So that's convenient. And then other than that, for chess wise, I do training. No, I don't really do much because I get distracted pretty easily. So, but yeah, I maybe like 3 to 4 hours a day. And then, I try to balance like everything with like opening, tactics, middle games. Games, so.
Video games?
No.
Not at all.
Yeah, my mom doesn't allow me to. So.
We'll talk to her. I can introduce you to a lot of useful stuff.
So can I, yeah.
So how does your tournament routine look then? Do you travel like the European Opens? You came just over for this one?
I came 2 weeks ago for the Elbergat.
Oh, you played that as well, yeah?
Yeah, and then I came here.
How'd you do there?
I got like 4.5 out of 9. I didn't do good. Just like 7 feet. Yeah.
That can happen.
Yeah.
How is it nowadays in the US? How's the tournament scene? Like, could you just find enough to play in the US? Because it used to be that you guys always have to come over because you don't have like quote unquote normal open tournaments. You only have these 2 games per day, but it changed a bit, no?
Yeah, we have like there's a lot of tournaments in like Hollywood, and like they have a lot of non-tournament. Charlotte, of course, has the regular.
Yeah, I assume St. Louis also runs
yes.
a number of things.
Yeah.
All right. Last and most important question. Do you support the Dallas Mavericks? Should Luka Modric get the ball a little less, maybe?
I don't really like follow sports very much.
Come on, no video games, no sports. Mom, what's going on here?
Yeah.
They used to have this German guy, Dirk Nowitzki. I'm German, so I've always been a big Dallas Mavericks supporter.
Yeah.
Then, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck with the tournament and your chess career. Peter has more questions about GM norms, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, did you have a chance to take a look at this one in particular, the one we have on screen? And I wonder what your take is
on this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I saw that Black had 1 hour and 36 minutes, so he was like in prep, I guess.
It was weird because he spent that 1 hour in this position.
Yeah.
It's an odd moment to be out of prep.
Yeah. Because it's the most logical move, I guess.
Yeah.
Because every time Black goes knight c5, he can take on c4. So
yeah, I was wondering like how unusual you found this, and whether like I don't know, with you not really playing this round, how closely you were following it, and whether you found this game as puzzling as we were finding it.
Yeah, I mean I found it kind of interesting because like Black's preparation, he was still in preparation, but the engine showed like +1, which was interesting.
This E5 he also blitzed out, which is getting the piece. Engine is not convinced.
Yeah, but of course, if the engine only shows like +1 and it's down a piece sacrifice, that's not something to be worried about.
Well, yeah, we were very excited to see exactly what the preparation was, because really it didn't seem obvious that there is enough for the piece, but he also had 96 minutes. So we thought, okay, he will stop blitzing at move 33 and we will get shown this incredible piece of prep.
Yeah.
And then he just went into deep sleep after king d2 and seemingly is now more or less completely busted. So we're not getting what we expected to be getting, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one theory was that he mixed up. He wanted to start with this
and then play d3.
Very hard to say.
Yeah. Chat wants to know what your favorite Marvel character is. I have a feeling that the chat also correctly suggested the answer, but maybe we'll try.
I don't much.
That's what the chat also thought would be the answer.
It is Spider-Man. He's very witty.
It always is Spider-Man.
A lot of banter. All right, Andy, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah.
We won't keep you all day.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Thanks very much for coming in.
See you around.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I waited judicially to see them out the door to say that this is a very impressive young man. Like, very good at chess, very sort of well-spoken, rounded GM norm by 12. Yeah, I feel like you blink and you miss another five prodigies who are going to be, setting the world on fire in the next, 5 years, or maybe even earlier.
Seems like a great kid, but I'm not forgiving him for not following the Dallas Mavericks. He's from Dallas.
Yes. I think some questions do need to be addressed to his mom, but I think she's doing a sort of a, once again,
we'll try very hard to get him off the right track, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bear 856 says, I think we should have an awkward uncle section every day. Yeah, this is.
I like it.
Yeah, it was very much exactly that. Yeah. What is this position? Completely winning for white somehow. Yeah.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, it took me I was actually staring at it for the past, I don't know how long. It took me until half a minute ago that to realize that bishop c8 in the current position loses to queen b3 check. No, before queen b4. I mean, in the actual current position, I thought, okay, bishop c8, very unclear endgame. No endgame at all. Really took me the longest time to work that out somehow.
By the way, we should clarify, you probably noticed in the interview, this is not the game Woodward against Ivanchuk. They just did not change the names of the players actually playing that game. So we take everything back we might have critically said about the great Vasil Ivanchuk, who appears to be sick.
Yeah.
Hope he gets well soon.
And a topic that we're not really addressing very much on the show, but there do seem to be a number of withdrawals from the tournament. Our own favorite plague person, Mr. Dodgy, withdrew today, no longer playing in the tournament. And I don't know if Vasil will play tomorrow, but obviously it's not great news for him too.
What do we have? Do we have a COVID outbreak or just regular flu season?
I think it's flu season, yeah. As far as I know, but flu season this year is not really heartily recommended. I caught some of that back home. I think when I came here, I was already pretty much recovered, but I did not enjoy it while it was going on back in St. Petersburg.
Thankfully, we don't socialize, so we're safe here in the studio.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hope people will be okay. I did get a flu shot before coming here. Do flu shots help? I never know. I just say, okay, give me all this stuff. Does it help? I know you're a bit of a self-taught medical expert.
Oh yeah, none more medical expertise than me. But I think they do help. I just am too can't even claim I'm afraid of needles. I just don't like going into the medical institutions more than necessary. But honestly, after my experience this year, I haven't actually had a flu in a while. I've been kind of okay on that for.
I think most people have corona and the isolating and the mask wearing.
But even before those obvious reasons to not really get the flu and get the other things, I've been doing somewhat okay.
Wow, Peter Svidler, flu-free since '93.
Not as. Whoa, things have changed.
What's the bishop doing here? Locking out the rook.
Yeah, and this is why Queen C3 maybe wasn't even
ideal, apparently.
Yeah. But even after rook G5, he already is sort of obliged to play bishop F1. Yeah.
6.
And well, better for black.
No, I just have the bishop.
Yeah, I thought I can take on c4 and d3, but the king is just not safe. So yeah, so bishop f1 more or less an only move. And now if he finds queen b7, I thought was, but now it changed its mind. Yeah,
it's very fickle.
Yeah, h4 is probably important, actually kind of forcing black to make what appears to be a good move, which is rook b5. But then we go rook b1, rook h2, and shockingly, there is no way to attack any of those pieces. And we've stabilized again.
Yeah. Then if we break free without running into an attack, we will win eventually. But of course, still a very tense position, particularly one on board now, where I guess black has a bunch of options. She don't know, wants to go rook e8. Maybe introduce ideas to sacrifice here. I don't know. I could still see stuff happening here. Yeah, it doesn't seem easy to play.
The first line is actually very curious. It goes rook e8. I don't know if h4 is fourth, but I just want to show just how strong this idea that he already mentioned is. It goes h4, rook e5, rook e1, and then it just goes rook b5, rook b1, rook e5. And seemingly there is no good way.
That's how you do move repetition, as you exactly by Alexienko.
Exactly. And yeah, I think in order to avoid the repetition there, white has to do a slightly unnatural thing and go king c1 with the rook on b1.
Oof, good luck.
Yeah, which I think is rook b5.
Okay.
Well, I mean, with yeah, okay, maybe even here. The point being that you need to have queen d2 if black actually takes on e3. It's still legal to take on e3, which is an additional surprise level here. Queen d2, queen e1 check. I'm not sure if black saves that endgame, but it's
It's a bit
Why?
tricky. This is a perpetual, right? Even
Oh, we could go for perpetual, but we can't.
Queen G3 is stronger, or Queen A5. It's such a bizarre position. So white takes, gives up a full rook on B1, is now a piece for 2 pawns up. And honestly, yeah, like if B3 is the best move, this is a draw, because I will just take on B3 twice and claim that 3 against 2 is just a draw, which I think it is. So just go G6 here. And like, I mean, yeah, H5, H6 is worrying me. If I were in time to slightly more sturdy setup, might still be a draw, but yeah, I'm more worried about this now. Yeah, not very happy about that, because F4, F5 will be kind of touch and go. Yeah, our pieces are not exactly well positioned. None of this. Very likely that none of this happens, because I think just starting with rookie, I think in the current position, even sort of finding the idea of just attacking specifically the E3 pawn and not the F3 pawn, which is not protected, will be quite difficult for Arvind. But it does show that the position remains difficult to play and not entirely hopeless from that. What else do we have?
Not much, since the games on board 1 and board 3 are over. This one is considerably slowed down. We can do a quick tour. Gilles Moussard is now an end game.
Yeah, very interesting that, yeah, Machine just says this is equal. I think made decent progress. But yeah, Rook A7 is a clever move. You know, it looks like we blundered knight b5, but knight b5 for b7 just allows black a lot of activity. And yeah, in fact, we have to start maybe even trying to equalize here.
Yeah, doesn't seem that much yet. Korobov, is he still pawn down? No, got the pawn back.
He won the pawn back, and this actually sort of resembles this game yesterday that Arvind eventually won against Ysipenko. The structure is not very similar, but the material very much is pretty much exactly the same as Arvind had. And yeah, they require care. Bishop against knight with the structure on both flanks and a pretty open position. You definitely want to be playing well with white here, or you could run into trouble.
Yeah, it looks very unpleasant.
Shocker that it says 0-0-0, to be honest. Like I'm taking black here every day of the week extremely happily.
How's Adiban Demchenko going? Why are they playing each other, by the way? They're the same rating. They don't have that many points.
That is a good question. Yeah, Adiban
bit of an oddity.
Well, they are in the group on 5.5.
Yeah, it's not like they're last in the tournament, but you would assume if they pay pair first half of the second round, then maybe they're just in the middle of the group.
Hang on.
Rating wise.
They actually, yeah, I mean, they're, I guess, straight in the middle. Yeah, the group is large enough and has higher rated people that, yeah, kind of an unfortunate pairing for them there. I guess the colors also come into the equation there a little
bit. I'm
bit.
Still confused. Obviously, it's going to be correct. But typically, the highest rated player in the same points group plays the highest rated player of the second half of the group, right?
I mean, one guy got uploaded, but yeah, for the rest of them, yeah.
Generally. So that's why in open tournaments, you very rarely, unless it's at the very top boards, get encounters between two players of the same rating. And yeah,
so
not sure. Probably all right. People played each other and so on and so forth. I was just confused because usually you don't see.
Must have been, yeah. So
small ratings.
So Hans got uploaded, and then we got the next highest rating there is Yu Yangyi, who played
Grigor Yan.
Yeah.
And you also, everybody is like 2,600 with the exception of Yu Yangyi, so it's not like.
Yeah, there's basically Yu Yangyi, and then there's Yu Yangyi basically and Hans are very high rated. Then there's a bunch of people sort of in the middle, and then in the same group there is
Gokar Khan and Sumets, who are around 2,500. And aren't actually playing the higher rated people. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange pairing, honestly. I have to agree with you there. Much regret. Cheparnov in the meantime seems like just won already. Game is officially over. Didn't go well for Firat Burak today. Guess we just take on e4 and go rook hf1 or something. Or rook hd1 somewhere. Nothing really goes anywhere. It's impossible to move any of your pieces. Rook f1 actually is a throw.
Bishop d6.
Stopping bishop d6 is important. Yeah. So rook d1, and then eventually we'll create a threat, but he just has no moves and probably will never have any moves here. So it looks like
it's also seemed pretty strong. Okay, it's more or less the same.
Yeah, it's weird because on the Chess24 website, the game appears to be over, and here it's still in progress. I don't know which one is correct, but the evaluation does suggest that those two things are potentially synonymous anyway, even if it is currently going on. Yeah, Andrei Sipenko made a great deal of progress here.
Bishop.
Yeah, because he got the bishop on c2 traded off, and he will be definitely pushing here with the more active pieces and pressure against the white queen side.
It doesn't look so terrible for white. Like structurally, you could even hope for good things to happen. I guess b3.
You need a lot of moves,
so
though.
weak,
Yeah. You need to stabilize first, and you might not be allowed to stabilize.
Yeah, black will always have this before the knight comes anywhere good.
Yep. Yeah. I felt like we should have asked Andy who is it that who are the players who are pretending to be him and Vasil, but we didn't, so we don't know, right?
It's a great pity we missed that question.
Gwen is now apparently completely winning, and honestly, it's understandable why, because you can go e4, e5, and black actually has to accept the bishop.
Bury a bishop.
Yeah, you can't touch the e pawn because that loses a lot of material to bishop d6.
And the pieces seem a little offside.
Yeah. Yeah, he did say they switched with 27, but I'm not entirely sure what 27 is. We can try and check.
Please, I really would like to know.
That's Jordan's game.
Jordan is on board 27?
We actually kind of care, probably, yeah.
Whom is he playing?
Theodor Injic.
Oh, Jordan's white?
No.
He's black?
No, he is not white, no.
Then he is not in great shape. No. If this is actually the game.
Yeah, if this is in fact their game, yeah, this is Jordan once again pushing the envelope a little bit too much. He's already done this once in this tournament against the player from Singapore. That game didn't go well.
No.
And this
one might not go well either. Yeah, he hasn't been in his greatest shape yet. I guess struggling a bit with the balance of playing solid and his main openings, or while going crazy trying to be low rated players, or maybe he's also thinking about Vike and doesn't want to show his hand everywhere. But yeah, not a great tournament so far for Jordan van Vlees.
Absolutely not.
Not a great position either. After bishop f4, this is hanging. Rook e6, knight d4. I guess rook e8, bishop g5.
Yeah, that just straight up wins a piece. So you have to play rook e6, but then after knight d4, you have to give up an exchange and hope you're not dead lost.
Yeah. Sort of crap. It's not a great position.
Yeah, and the engine is
d6. I'm not sure, but
yeah, but even let's say bishop takes d5 is kind of horrible. Yeah, it can be even harsher, but yeah, this position still is very, very poor. If this is Jordan's game, Jordan is not enjoying life yet again. Even participating in the phone tennis apparently didn't improve his fortunes enough.
That's just odd. Who wouldn't be cheered up by a nice round of phone tennis?
Exactly. Very surprising.
Farley still. Well, black is somewhat better, apparently.
Yeah.
But overexposed the white position without having an attack.
This is a kind of a typical situation where you're left with this pawn on e5, which is only supported by a knight, and all the end games are a little bit unpleasant, and even in the middle games, you're not very happy. Shouldn't be horrible, but yeah, I fear for Kevin here. I feel like generally these positions don't work out. What's happening in Hans's? Hans's game kind of sped up.
Something happened. This pawn was attacked, yet rook e8 wasn't played. That was a tough move. This looks like a more human approach where you need an answer after b3.
Yeah, it's just very difficult to generate threats. Obviously, c takes b3, bishop takes d3 is more or less game over once the pieces start connecting.
Some very easy to make moves to win, basically.
Yeah. The engine goes g7, g6, which I think is an illustration of just how difficult it is. Yeah, and I guess queen takes c4 might be a very large mistake because maybe we're blocking a5 or rook c5. But we're never touching it. Yeah, we're never touching any of that. We go and then we continue just bringing stuff out.
It looks like Aravind. It's very tough, but didn't find a way to make it overly messy, and now he should just lose.
Yeah, and because we are expecting him to lose, it doesn't really feel, because there is definitely like an element of rubbernecking to it, but I like to know what happened there. But if he loses, obviously,
you should just ask him.
Yeah, I mean, we're not inviting him after a loss to grill him on.
We can invite Hans.
Yeah, we can invite Hans. But we can't actually make him appear. Those two are not synonymous.
No, he can make people appear in places, no?
Yeah, this one, as I mentioned, I'm very surprised it's not much better for black, but apparently it isn't. What's happening in... Yeah,
just
hang on a second.
Clicking looks like Adiban.
He was much better on our screen a moment ago, right?
Not sure much better, but when was he much better? Yeah, computer liked his position a bit here.
No, even further than that. Like after c5, c3, f5, c3, knight ba6. It was going.
Here
it was going ef and saying white is much better. Yeah.
f4 was a bit much apparently. Oh, these pieces do look stuck, so it's not too surprising. It's not great.
Well, you would like to play knight f3, but it just straight up loses to knight b3, and it doesn't lose an exchange. It actually loses a queen, which is a bit unfortunate.
It's very picturesque.
Yeah, and yeah, black wants knight d3, and really it feels like you can't even stop it. Yeah, it's just an unpleasant position for Adiban. Now needs to play very carefully not to be in a lot of trouble. Seems our rook e1 g5 Sicilian continues to go really well for black. I don't know exactly how, but I did see that the engine was suggesting black is just straight up winning. Yeah, bishop d8 does look very logical. I'm pretty sure white is preparing to play bishop b3 against it, but even endgames are just very poor here. You can go gf, plonk the knight on g4 in the end and claim that you're much better.
Ponzi.
Black has a scheme to pick up the Ponzi.
Oh, that's because of the Ponzi scheme.
Yes.
You applied it to pawns. Very wisdomless. Yeah, this game apparently wasn't over yet, but
will be soon, yeah.
Could very well be over soon.
Yeah.
What's the trick here?
Yeah, the question is, what happens if we do this? Yeah, why isn't this?
So we win.
Bishop d6 is the only way not to resign immediately, but he'll resign a bit later. Like this is not very exciting. The e-pawn never actually does very much in positions like this when your king is so unsafe.
Okay, let's once again wrap up what happened so far. In Tabatabai Alexeyenko, the game was drawn under slightly odd circumstances, let's say, by the players going for this particular move repetition here. There is a 30 move rule, and this is a move 19 when it started. But technically, it is a threefold. How they came up with this sequence, I guess we will never know. Board 2, Hans Niemann seems to be well on his way to victory against Aravin's. Very aggressive play. Aravin sacrificed a piece, but then either forgot the follow-up or mixed something up. He blitzed out his first 18 moves until d3 check, but then thought here for an hour and didn't find the best ways to keep making it messy according to our computer. And now he seems more or less lost.
Yeah, Black is sort of flailing all of these moves. They generate like one move threats, which aren't really very difficult to parry. And you're also completely tied up on the queen side, meaning that from G1, G4 probably will happen quite soon. And once White has pretty much every single piece in play, the game will probably not last very long.
Nope. Another game that didn't last very long was the game on board 3. Which I'm not going to show over and over. Karen Grigoryan. Rough loss with the white pieces, pretty much out of the opening. That leaves us with a bunch of 2600 clashes on boards, whatever this is, 4 till 8. Jules Moussard, roughly equal against Puranik. Anton Korobov, we think somewhat better, although computer says 0-0 against Vasiv Durabaili. Bhaskaran Adiban in some amount of trouble against Anton Demchenko after this.
Yeah, 93 looks very logical, and yeah, White is not helpless, and the engine does suggest that you can start actually getting some pieces out, Queen D1, Queen F3 being maybe an important order of business, or maybe even something faster, but the bishop pair will amount to something. What's that? Yeah, we keep on kind of waltzing past that very sharp Carlsbad by this point, and it seems like it's not going well for White at all.
The king.
Yeah, somehow Black seems like Black would be the only side really making any progress, because White,
this attack doesn't look very ferocious just yet.
Yeah, whereas on the other side of the board, there's this monster on d5, which cannot be challenged. And yeah, b3 is an ugly move, but what else do you do? Like Black will take on a2. If you play king a1, I guess a4 becomes very annoying with the threats of both d3 and a3. So yeah, Sumet's in a lot of trouble. And Black could also, like if we go back to the original position, even if you maybe somehow solve the immediate problems on the queen side, f5 will be quite painful. Just starting to open a second front there with f2 potentially weak for all the endgames and so on.
Yeah, he got soundly outplayed from this position, although long castles when you're already greeted by a pawn on a5. I wouldn't dare. I would castle kingside here 100% of the time. Not saying it's necessarily bad, but it's...
Yeah, it feels a little bit like he thought, you know, I'm playing in an open tournament, I should play as closely to like what in my mind constitutes aggressive, ambitious play as possible, disregarding sort of objective evaluation.
Playing someone who's 120 points higher rated.
Yeah, that part I don't really mind. Yeah,
that's a big factor, but
yeah, that part I don't really mind.
He's maximizing EV by making it, I don't know, as sharp as possible at the risk of his position. At the price.
Yeah, but it does seem to be backfiring quite badly, and the current position really looks very unattractive.
In the game that we think is Theodora Injic versus Jordan van Foreest, I'm still not 100% sure if that's the case.
Yeah,
but if it is, then Jordan is not doing so great. He's in exchange down and has a bad position because of the weak king. So yeah, it looks fairly lost, frankly.
Yeah, it really does.
I'm sure he'll keep messing around, asking questions, but he's in real big trouble. That's all there is, boys and girls. Rook b2 played by Hans Niemann.
Not a shocker.
As you do.
Yeah, a2 was hanging with check, so I allow it. And Black remains basically threatless here, you really, really struggle to even figure out what else to attack now. With all of your rooks on b8, just banging their head against the pawn on b3, which is well protected.
Rooks.
Know what you want to do with your life.
Don't be a rook, banging your head. It's not worth it.
No.
Right, we're about 40 minutes away from the time control. The intrigue on the top three boards isn't that great. It looks like Hans is just winning. The other two games are over. But we'll still, of course, stick around to see the conclusion of this game. And we'll be back after this brief message from Chessable. We have great courses, including some of ours. Chessable.com/Jan. Still a timeless lifetime repertoire. And Chessable.com/Peter. It's slightly outdated. I kid. Peter's course is much more recent.
Still outdated.
See you soon.
Welcome everybody.
My name is Jan Nepomniachtchi, former world chess champion.
Are starting a new course here for Chessable.
A very special Chessable course.
Master your chess with Judith Polgar.
You know what? I learned a lot.
It's the first edition of our chess festival here in Formentera. We host the chess festival in Sitges. I think it's a special place because it's a unique location. We have very nice views, we have very nice beaches.
My experience here has been extremely nice. It's a perfect location to play chess. We are in a fantastic hotel here in the beautiful island of Formentera, which is paradise. And you can see even the beach from your balcony in your room. Tournament combines chess and holidays, and there are a lot of parallel activities. You can play ping pong tournament, you can play volleyball tournament.
For instance, we have seminars from different grandmasters and
chess master classes or chess conferences. And we also have a couple of blitz tournaments. Related to Spanish cultures. Our goal is always to have people have fun and have a chess holiday.
Yeah, this tournament is basically for everyone. It can be a professional chess player who just is very much focused at chess part, and the conditions are good enough to do that too.
I expect to play some decent chess at least, and yesterday I lost against Gustafsson, super grandmaster from India. But besides chess, I expect to have a lot of great moments and memories with my friends here in this beautiful island.
We have visited the island, which is exclusive place, and I've heard a lot of stars are coming here to visit this island, and you can only reach by the boat to there. So we went there with other grandmasters. We played chess games there. It was quite an experience to play chess at the lovely island. For me, it's very important to have a good time, because when I have a good time, then my chess also goes nicely, and this tournament is also proof of that, and I hope I will today, because so far I've got some points, and also I enjoyed other activities here too.
So it's the perfect place to play chess.
Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses.
Welcome back, everybody. Round number 8 of the Chessable Sunway Sitges International Chess Festival. We should mention this is a 10 rounds open, because most opens are 9 rounds. So it's not the penultimate round, but the anti-penultimate round.
Very nice.
I know words, Peter. I know words.
Yes. I believe you actually taught me that word many years ago. And the position,
many words.
The position we have on the screen, I asked Jan to bring up because while we were on break, I was kind of browsing through the games, and I spotted a very beautiful suggestion by the machine after FG4 move 25. Sorry, actually, one move later, maybe. Yeah, FG, bishop b6, knight d4. And in this position, the Turkish player missed a very cute little combo, which would have ended the game on the spot. Rook takes e1, which I'm sure he checked. But then I guess he tried playing knight takes g4 immediately, and that didn't seem very clear. But starting with knight e5 just ends the game on the spot, because white cannot really take on f6, as Jan indicated. Rook e5, d5 loses a lot of material. And now black will take on g4 next move. And you cannot really stop the invasion of all the knights. You get one knight to g4, the other one probably gives a check from f3, and the position completely collapses. I guess rook f1 maybe is the one attempt to keep it solid, but then queen e4 wins. Because knight fg4, queen e2 maybe is somewhat manageable. At least you have to work. But if you start with queen e4, white is really out of squares, and
not an easy move to make.
No,
the queen already is looking towards g2. I could see.
Yeah, and this is why I'm not really criticizing the Turkish player for not spotting this. He's still much better, still playing a very good game. But it would have been a kind of a nice way to pretty much conclude the game if he spotted rook takes e1. He's going king d8, which is a bit of a
he wants to go knight g4 without f7 hanging with check, which is fair enough. In f3, and now apparently you should go for the end game, which
even taking on g4 is massively better for black. Of course, material equal, you cannot really take on e5 without. Actually, seems to currently maybe be the best choice. If it's the best choice, you're in a lot of trouble with white here for sure.
Unpleasantness in the position.
If you have to play king h1 here, you're kind of never stabilizing. And yeah, eventually your pieces will get moved.
Still, I'd be mildly, I can read it's winning, but I'd be mildly unhappy that I had to exchange queens, and now there's even some counterplay, which, yeah, I see black is winning, but I'm not sure how easy this decision
Yeah,
is.
but on the other hand, after queen f3, what else are we doing? Like we don't really want to abandon the long diagonal. d6, d5 doesn't look right. I think we get to that decision by the process of elimination, because we really don't want to give white control of that. So yeah, I think he actually makes those moves simply because nothing else really looks good.
Speaking of moves being made, there were some moves in our only remaining top 3 game between Hans Niemann, you might have heard of him, against Aravind. After rook b2, g6, rook g1 was played, those moves were going to be included, no matter what. And yeah, white wants to go rook g4 to stabilize the issue here. So black has to keep making at least threatening looking moves, and he does that with rook c8, hinting at cb.
Yeah, allowing cb here would be a bit of a no-no, but there is a number of ways white can stop it. I suspect even b3, b4 is not that horrible.
Yeah, that'd be my first instinct as well. Looks like the queen can't easily.
Doesn't really spoil very much. The engine being the engine for some reason starts with a4 instead. I don't really know why that is so much stronger. I guess we're actually preparing to go b takes c4 next move, maybe.
Engine just calculated his way home.
Yeah.
And also this, it does look winning. It looks a bit uncomfortable to open it up, but
yeah,
we are a clean piece up, and there's not.
Hans does go b4, which, yeah, as we both mentioned, I think is a very easily humanly understand decision. Yeah, because we are going to finally include the g1 rook in the game, and then the game just more or less
queen moves. Then we go a4, and nothing ever bothers us here.
Yep,
this can't really get touched from anywhere. If not, the rook comes. I play h5 as a move, trying to stop rook g4, but not sure how happy I just go h4. See, I'm messing this up very quickly.
A little bit, yeah.
Maybe 7, a5.
Yeah, this is why b4 is a little bit uncomfortable, because if black somehow gets a couple tempi and gets to play queen somewhere, and then a5, and you have to play a3, then some files got opened on the queen side, and like you finally have a target for black maybe to play against. But
looks like the key is just not allowing this quote-unquote double attack, queen b7 hitting f3 and threatening a5. The computer just returns to Pandora with bishop g2 and gets ready to play their f4 or put this rook somewhere. No, it's winning.
It is winning.
Some care still needed.
Yeah, and they're not on a lot of time, but not really so little that it is a huge factor just yet. On our board 4, Musard against Puranik seems like a reasonably balanced position. White is trying to put some pressure on the c7 pawn to perhaps provoke c7, c5, and then go knight f5 and start attacking the pawn on d6. Black is currently saying no, not interested. Yeah, it seems
looks like black is fine.
Yeah, it doesn't really look very threatening for black, and even trading c7 for e4 under reasonable circumstances probably will satisfy Puranik here if he wanted to do that. Korobov, there's been some simplification in the Korobov game. Structurally, this has actually favored black, but I wonder if there's a way to make some kind of an immediate draw with like trying to play rook d7, knight f5, which is why the bishop is on f7 and clearly is aimed at the g6 square, which will cover both knight f5 and knight h5, which looks important because you really don't want your pawn on g7 to be attacked. Engine holds this move by move, but you feel like maybe there is a little bit of trickiness remaining.
Yeah. Hard to argue as usual, but it's not that easy. This is winning for white.
Yeah, we have to preserve rook g8 as an option. Yeah.
And if queen c2, I'm assuming queen f6 will work because the queen no longer hits the rook. Yeah, looks like black has no particularly good moves here.
Yeah, the engine will plays h6, h5, which is an attempt, I guess, to drive the knight away from a good square. But you also don't feel very comfortable touching your king side and like provoking potential weaknesses. And in a similar fashion to the lines that we're just discussing, the best reply on our screen currently is c2, c4. Once again, saying your one piece is needed on the a4, d7 diagonal, and the other one needs to touch g8, so you can't take this pawn anyway. So I might as well start pushing it forward. Kind of a funky position. Still, despite sort of 0-0-0s there, doesn't look like.
No, you could easily see, in particular, that black winning this, but something happening for sure.
Yep.
So, yeah, black stabilizes. There's no direct counterplay. It's just going to be.
Yeah, the c-pawn is very weak, and all the endgames might be quite annoying if you do lose the c-pawn. In Adiban, Demchen code 93 did happen, and white seemingly did not react in the best possible fashion, because now the second knight is coming in along the same files. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, the engine was suggesting g4 after bishop f5, which I think is a difficult move to settle on. But I think it very much was in favor of trying to fight for the e4 square for the d2 knight, not the f3 square. But yeah, it's not an easy move to make. Yeah, like your king on h2 is unsafe as is, and pushing pawns in front of it is, I don't think, a first order of business for anyone here. Understandable that Adiban doesn't do it, but now knight b3 is a threat, and also knight d3 would be quite painful against queen e3.
This is
yeah, and this is a major problem as well.
But the lines get messy very quickly. I'm not sure how obvious any of this is before g5.
Yeah, I think it's possible to spot g5 because it just increases all the threats, and even this is not much fun.
Yeah, Adiban in some amount of trouble, but
10 against 16 as well. But it's moved 30 or 29, but I mean almost 30, so it's probably manageable in terms of clock. This one will be a draw.
Yep, some swapping, and Hans got his rook out, had to give up the f3 pawn, so Aravind went for the direct queen b7, attacking the pawn and sort of threatening a5. It looks like Hans once again did well, saying this pawn you can have if I get all the other stuff.
Yeah. With the rook on b2, I think you can very safely abandon the blocking post on d2, because d3, d2 is never going to be much of a threat. And then, yeah, and then we just go after the material on the queen side. We've kind of been pretty sure how this ends for a while, and it's only really getting closer and closer. Hans very much in control here.
I don't know. I'm still curious. Like, hard to believe he's not going to win, but it doesn't feel 100% stable yet. Then again, how do we generate another threat?
Yeah, I think we've extended as far as we could have extended. He's going to rook f4 instead of king e1, which is also, I think, fine. May have been, the slightly less clean solution, but you're still everything
gives up the g file, so black can dream.
I guess the important little tactic here is that if you go queen h1, you run into bishop takes d3, I assume.
Rook c4.
Rook c4 also not bad, yeah.
This might be even easier. There is no.
I was a bit worried about queen f1, but apparently it does absolutely nothing, because the king very easily runs away towards like c3, b3, and so just no threats. Yeah, I agree with you that as far as piece up positions go, this one is still a little bit of a mess, but really doesn't look like relinquishing control.
Can we do anything wrong?
No, I mean this also wins. Yeah. Just collect the entire structure. Yeah, the queen needs to go back, and then we go a4, b5, rook b4 or something. Yeah, just not in time with any of the counterplay. Even with the rook g1 available to black, is still like at most one check somewhere, and even that check is not guaranteed, and we have rook d4. Yeah, this one is getting there for Hans for sure.
Orbov in the orange polo shirt, t-shirt, making his way back to the board. Hans had to get out of the way, and Aravind just made a move, but I'm not sure if the camera is ahead of us or not. Doesn't look great. No, for Aravind, no matter what move he chose.
Mm-hmm.
There we have Gilles Moussard. After making, oh no, it's not time control, so only move 30, but after the position has been played. It's going for a breather.
Yeah, the margins are not, like, it's not easy actually to misplay for black. Yeah, the pawn on b2 is just too much of a target for white to be able to generate any serious threats here. Pretty sure Puranik holds this. In the game between Sumets and yeah, this one still stays the same. Here, black opted for a kind of a technical decision instead of trying for more, but this is a very solid technical decision. The rook ending doesn't really look like it's salvageable because the king gets to d6 very quickly, and then you just generate a passer on the a file and win. And if you keep the bishop alive, it will return to d5, and black once again has an extra outside passer on the a file. Hard to imagine this not being winning, strictly speaking. Early Karthikeyan is still worse.
What happened here? I went queen e4.
Yeah, he went for some kind of a subtlety here with queen e4 instead of the immediate capture on f3. But he did, in the end, go for exactly what he was supposed to go for.
This is an issue.
This looks horrible. Yeah, this looks like it should never. And 8 minutes for the remaining 11 moves should be fine, I guess.
Yeah, it's also not really 8 minutes. No, it's 12 minutes.
Yeah,
since they get 30 seconds per move, so it should be right.
Yeah, very nicely played game by the Turkish player who got a bit of a gift on move 6,
but still gotta make progress from there, and just seems very strong.
Yep.
Sheparinov has officially won now on our screen as well. I'm sticking with Hans here.
Yeah.
Rook g5 played. I think we'll get the sequence b5, queen h1, bishop d3, rook g1.
Very possibly, yeah. Looks very logical. And I mean, what else did after b5? If you don't play queen h1, white will actually play rook b4 and win even more comfortably. Like something like this is just completely and utterly hopeless. We will also be threatening mate on the 8th once our rook appears on c4. So yeah, here you just resign. So you kind of have to play queen h1, and then the calculation in front of Hans is just establish that bishop d3, rook g1, bishop b2 is completely safe, but it doesn't look difficult.
b5 played. So what are we doing, Peter? We're just discussing chess positions. We used to talk about stuff.
Yeah, we occasionally still talk about stuff, but it's doesn't happen as often as it used to.
Have we come to this point?
The slow
stuff to talk about.
The slow passage of time is inexorable.
Yeah, maybe that is it.
Also, chat doesn't suggest any stuff to talk about. I think we used to have.
We used to not need chat.
Why are you not allowing me any kind of feeble bailouts here? Yeah, it's just sad. It's
I guess
it's a sad situation.
Anyway, in this position, the computer says bishop takes d3, good, then rook g1, bishop e2, and white wins.
That suggests Tuna. Tuna is very much on the menu here, pretty much not true. There's been a couple of evenings where Emperador was on the buffet for dinner, which is something that I'm very much on board with. I think Emperador is the Emperor of Fish.
Oh, okay, it's fish. Palpatine.
Nobody watches TV anymore, says chat. That's not true. I am actually 75% through season 7 of Homeland. I have no idea why I'm watching that, but I am watching that very, in a very dedicated fashion here. Can't really justify it even to myself, but
makes you happy?
No, it doesn't. I don't think it's intended to.
Is Carrie still going strong? Is that her name?
Yes. She is still very disturbed, but also very socially conscious and very, very much in favor of her beloved country not being suborned and sabotaged and other things starting with S.
Yeah.
Mainly by Russians. Which
real life events might have
inspired
the stakes of this show seem lower. Although I have no idea. I gave up on Homeland after season 1. Spoiler alert. Season 1 of Homeland. Guy doesn't blow himself up.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We discussed it, and I don't entirely disagree. I think, once that happens, the sort of the entire premise of the show becomes sci-fi, pretty much.
Yeah.
He gets a phone call, and his entire programming that led him to that point just dissolves, as if it was never there. So, not how any of this works.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to watch that crap and that exciting show. You told me Andor was great, and I ignored you because I thought it was some nerdy stuff. But then, other people told me Andor was great, and now I want to watch it.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed White Lotus season 2, and season 1 is also excellent. So if you haven't seen White Lotus, that's a really, really good show. That guy is so good at observing human behavior and pointing out
what guy,
how ridiculous we are. The showrunner, Mike White, or writer showrunner.
What did he do until before White Lotus?
Nothing.
So he is just feeling very good because he has done White Lotus, and now he can rest on his laurels.
He's done 2 seasons of White Lotus.
No, 3? I thought there were. The 3rd one is running now, right? Or
no?
Oh, well, how come? What do you mean no?
I mean no.
That is very upsetting. Pretty sure there were 3 of them. That was actually my reasoning for not watching, because I thought it was a bit too much. But if it's only 1 and 2, I might.
It's only 6 episodes. It's
yeah. Are you done with the current season of Rick and Morty?
No, I was done with Rick and Morty after season 3, I think. Where are we? 5?
6, maybe?
6 or 8.
This one is actually not as bad as the previous one, as far as I kind of forgot it was running, so I think I'm at episode 3. I think the entire show has run by this point, but I thought this one was better.
That's Andy Woodward when you need him. He could write down stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, looks like we're way done. It finished a couple of weeks ago, and I need to do some catching up. People are suggesting we check out Prison Break, which I mean is a very good kind of a throwback to when we were young and quote unquote happy. But the idea that we haven't seen Prison Break is a bit laughable.
It's offensive. Right?
Yeah. Laughable and offensive. All kinds of bad things can be said about that idea.
But also, I don't mean to nitpick here, but this guy Michael Scofield,
yes,
he has a lot of tattoos.
Yes.
Wouldn't they check that at some point in prison?
But they were figuring out that this is a map. I don't think would be very easy.
I understand, but I'm not buying into the premise. Anyway, season 1 of Prison Break is excellent. I haven't seen it. It's been around for 20 years, and it's worth catching up. Season 2 is meh, and then it went downhill. Hans keeps taking pawns.
Yeah, Hans is just on a collecting mission here, and will win the game from here. Yeah, with the d3 and c4 pawns gone, and still really only a check somewhere to be. For black to pretend is a threat is really not very difficult.
Still king d3.
Yeah, Prison Break is like Matrix, right? Like you watch the first one and then you pretend with all you have, like from the very depth of your heart, you pretend nothing else exists, right?
I was okay with Matrix 2. They had this cool rave party on Zion. Matrix 3 made it rough.
How about Matrix 4?
I watched the first 10 minutes.
Really, that was one of the things I watched on a flight, and I like as somebody you watch as something you watch on a flight, I was fairly okay with it. I expected worse. I went in with extremely low expectations for that, and wasn't disappointed at all. I thought it was actually kind of okay-ish.
No longer have time for okay-ish, Peter. Clock is ticking.
Towards what exactly? Singularity?
I don't know, but it's certainly ticking.
Yeah.
Will be excellent from this point.
That might mean I have to.
You might have to stop watching Homeland season 7.
No. I'm way too invested by this point.
Are they done? Is this the final season?
No, there's also 8, which I obviously will start watching immediately once I've finished the 7. But yeah, there's no defense. I will not attempt to defend any of it.
No, but I'm way behind on a lot of stuff that I would like to watch, actually. I haven't seen any of Euphoria. I haven't seen Atlanta season 3 or 4. I haven't seen Succession season 2 and 3. Industry is supposed to be a very good show. I just listen to podcasts talking about shows, and I don't watch the shows. That's my approach.
Yeah, that's
also to basketball. I've seen like 3 games this season, but I've listened to literally hundreds of hours of basketball podcasts.
Yeah, in that respect, I'm actually doing a bit better than you, because I listened to once again to a great amount of cricket podcasts, but I've also gotten quite a lot of cricket watching in somehow. Even though, like, this is a bit of a heartbreaker, because this shirt, for years and years, I had a very strict rule about only wearing this shirt when England is playing. I had like 3 days in a row where I could have worn it, and I forgot, and then the match finished a lot earlier than I expected, and now I'm kind of faking it.
Very much so.
Yeah, very upsetting. There was a suggestion in chat for as a kind of a nice party game for us to play, and this is obviously a party, so we're playing party games here.
Look at my face.
Yes. If I could get you to try and guess who Rian Ahmed is.
It's the guy from Rogue One and The Night of. Oh, that's Riz Ahmed.
Yeah.
Then Rian Ahmed is a batsman.
For which country, though?
Pakistan.
No.
India.
England.
That's gonna be my next guess.
Yeah. But I mean, he's like, we don't actually know. Like, I've heard rumors of him being a good batsman, but so far it's the other aspect of his multi-talented personality that
batsman is the only cricket. Do they have similar position? Are they all batsmen? Like
no, some of them are also bowlers.
Bowlers?
Yes. I wish I had a Google. And so on and so forth. I don't know.
Wow, your hip hop game is also
Very on point.
CeeLo is on point.
Yeah, absolutely not dated at all. The three little bits of lyric I can produce on demand are all extremely 2022.
Stuff, Peter.
Ivan is still thinking here. I'm not entirely sure about what.
Why exactly? He doesn't want to resign and he's looking for that one last trap.
Chat informs us Adiban drew, which is good news for Adiban because he really wasn't doing very well.
He is apparently. Yeah, bishop e4 was not played, and I don't know, Danchenko lost the threat here a little bit. He probably decided this has not been a fun game. Let's get it over.
It really does feel like one of those decisions where, like, for a while by this point, he feels like he's lost the thread of control over proceedings.
And even Danchenko just all along tried to make it to move 30 and offer a draw. So you never.
Yeah, what's happening in Kartikeya and Gokar Khan? Because it looks like Black is winning, but I'm not sure he actually. Yeah, this is not as much as it used to be, right? Because you can win an exchange here, maybe by playing Rook G1 and H2, but I don't know if it wins the game on the previous move. Can we go Rook G1 here? Yeah. Oh no, Rook takes H2 exists. I'm an idiot. Yeah, we're not winning any kind of an exchange here. So where did it all go wrong? Because he did go for exactly what he was supposed to go for. Yeah, this position. He took on D4. The engine, I think, was doing exactly the same, but keeping the bishop on B6 alive.
Yeah, why would he take? It's pinned.
Yeah.
So he didn't like King F1, and then Rossi takes pawn.
But the engine, as usual, just laughs at all of this.
Particularly worried about it.
And says the bishop on B6 is a very useful piece. Do not be trading it.
Get on board with that. So the H pawn is a very useful pawn here, which might cost a rook.
Yeah, well, he preserved the H pawn, but somehow it's not really queening anymore. Yeah, and it feels like maybe now Morley might save this position because the margins have become a lot smaller, and does feel like maybe the worst is behind us.
The trend is his friend. Aravind gave a check that was blocked, then he moved away. Yeah, he's basically telling Hans, your king is still on D2. I don't feel like resigning just yet, so please make some more good moves so we can get this over with. Even this king doesn't seem too endangered.
Yeah, Queen E1 check is really the only, quote unquote threat that Black has, which is why sort of preventing it by moving away from it is quite decent. And that's what Hans has played. King is on D3. White is currently, after Queen takes H3, the number of pawns got equal. I was about to say that White was also a pawn up to go with his extra bishop. Yeah, now I think basically if King C2 happens, I think there you resign. Because on B3, you're really not giving any checks to it anymore, and White is a full piece up after all. So
at some point where we'll start attacking 7, it's not going to be fun.
No. Yeah, feels like that probably is very close to being end of
hanging F2. I don't know if we want to
not really. We don't care. We give mate there. No.
This position, the white king looks a little restricted.
Yeah. I would be a bit reluctant to go for this with Black because it feels like maybe after Rook C3 you have to play Rook B8, and then how exactly do you free yourself to open up the king side? But I guess it works itself out somehow. It shouldn't really be that difficult. I don't know. For some reason, my initial reaction was just how clear is this? Because like we're also a bit stuck. We don't have much plan. But
winning the pawn in game here.
How are we getting the pawn in game? Like DC, I will take on B3, right?
So
Yeah, that was sort of where I was where I was having a problem with it. But I guess you can pass.
on you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have so few moves that eventually you can even do this and then take on c5 because I will run out of moves on the queen. So.
Now I'll take.
Yeah, no, it's just completely lost. Yeah, I don't know why I had any doubts about this. So Manuel will be on 6.5. We can do your absolute favorite segment where I read out the standings.
Yes.
Very important. Alexeyenko 7.5 out of 8. Tabata by 6.5. Probably, or like not probably, like almost assuredly, Niemann 6.5, UNG 6.5, Petrosian 6.5. And the rest of them do appear to be likely draws. Musar against Puranik will most likely be a draw. Durabaili against Korobov appears to be holding for Vasiv. Adiban Jemchenko was drawn. And Kartikeyan, I am now taking the draw as a favored result in the game. I think the inexperience there of the Turkish player is beginning a little bit to show, and maybe tiredness as well. So I think Morley saves that. That gives us 1, 2, 3 people on 6.5. One of them playing against Kirill, probably Hans. Hang on a second, maybe UNG. In terms of colors, it's probably Hans, but UNG is the higher rated, so one of them. So we will have, regardless of which one it is, we'll have a very important fight on board one there. A kind of a hidden match ball, like maybe not even that well hidden, honestly, for Kirill tomorrow, in particular if he is white in that game. A win will, I think, assure him of first, pretty much. A solid result, but
a loss wouldn't be so good.
Yeah, loss generally best avoided.
Yeah, Hans didn't waste a lot of time bringing his king to b3. Not that concerned about the loss of these pawns. Yeah, hard to blame him. Even this endgame where black on paper now does have 2 pawns for the piece.
Yeah,
doesn't look very good for black.
Feels completely lost. Yeah, this is where you kind of stop thinking about things because you just know you're completely winning and you don't really want to waste any energy calculating. Yeah.
Arvind still is thinking, but there are move 38, 39 actually. So the time control is just around the corner, and I would not be shocked if the game didn't last much longer. Arvind doesn't take, which
play a6.
Sort of understandable. Still
trying to a6. I wonder if we just go b8 here, to be honest, like b8 and to put the bishop on b5. I mean, really doesn't look very, very bad. But you don't have to. You can play pretty much any sensible move here. Rook c2 doesn't look bad. Rook bd2 doesn't look bad. Just also
keep the queen.
Yeah, attack the rook on a1. Ask black to move it to some horrible square and then go b8. I don't know. 5 minutes for the last remaining move here in a position in which pretty much everything that is not directly a rook or a queen blunder probably wins. So, yeah.
It's also not terrible.
Yeah, I mean, something like king b4 might make it interesting, but probably even that is okay.
Oh.
Well, that was a long sequence, right? It didn't really.
Checkmate.
Yes, very much a checkmate. Yeah.
Yeah, king b4 was maybe not good. And yeah, rook f4 plate. That looks fairly logical as well to finally start doing the checkmating himself.
Yeah, considering like since he's gotten here and not resigned, I'm guessing he will find some kind of move to make on move 40 and then think once he gets additional time. But really,
this position, if it feels like
but like why would you feel like it? It's not that obvious to me.
And no, he does resign. Congratulations to Hans Niemann, who kept his cool, took all the material, and confidently cashed in when Aravind couldn't really back up his earlier
sacrifices.
Hans now gaining 8 points in this tournament with his 6.5 out of 8 current results. So very firmly in the 2,700 club now with 2 rounds to go. Before today, Kirill was gaining about 20. He has lost a little bit with the draw, but not.
Yeah, that's very costly. Drawing a player 6 points lower rated than
it's actually oceans of points. Yeah, perhaps as much as
0.01.
Yep. So yeah, Kirill doing well here, but he's had a rough half a year-ish, so still not really back to where he was at the start of the year.
Yeah. All right, so let's do a brief sum up, then do one last tour over the boards. Then we'll call it a day with the top 3 boards being finished in our top encounter between the 2 players that had won every game, although Tabatabai was only, quote unquote, on 6 out of 7 because he did not play against his Israeli opponent in the first round. Got a great position out of the opening, but then maybe was a little overzealous or too eager to cash in, and it allowed Kirill to more or less equalize by getting to this pawn on h6. And yeah, this position looks fairly equal. It seems like the players somewhere around here agreed in we don't know what way that they would like to make a draw. They have 30 move, no draw offer rules in this tournament. So the player's solution, quote unquote, which we weren't big fans of, was to repeat moves 3 times, which in general is fine. But the sequence they made here makes no sense, like King G1, King H8. You know, no one would ever play this if there wasn't some wink-wink agreement to repeat the position. And yeah, it leaves a bit of a bitter taste in our mouth. But as far as I know, both these guys are unquestionable sportsmen, other from this small mishap. It won't make too big a deal.
It's not a very strong argument, but you do have to say that, like in the previous 7 rounds, they produced plenty of excitement for us as viewers. So
yeah, but it's not about not providing excitement. It's about slightly bending the rules.
Yeah, a bit of disrespect shown to the organizers and the regulations there for sure. But yeah, not a fan. It's not the end of the world, but I would have preferred a different way to make a draw there.
Yeah, we've seen Hans Niemann win his game on board number 2 after Aravind through the kitchen sink, in particular, well, already with the choice of line, but then in particular with this piece sacrifice pawn to e5, followed by e takes d4. But Hans, just made the best moves and did not really allow Aravind to come back. When Aravind, to our surprise, blitzed out this sequence until here, and now started thinking for an hour, either not remembering his prep or having mixed something up earlier. We don't know, because it would be a bizarre spot to end preparation in a position where you're pieced down and the computer says you're in trouble.
Yeah, he took 51 minutes to play knight b6, which is a decent move, but maybe not the best one. And also, blitzing all of this out and then spending 50 minutes is also a very welcome sign to your opponent that probably some kind of a mishap is in progress here.
He wasn't close to being the first to lose or to the biggest mishaps of the day, because Grigoryan on board 3 against Yu Yang-yi seemed like he was surprised by this line played by Yu Yang-yi, which has also been played by Grishuk. Played well for a while. They got into this endgame here after a5. Grigoryan brazenly took the pawn when, as he mentioned, looks like a pretty good moment to bail out and probably make a draw, maybe even claim the tiniest of edges. I took the pawn and he wouldn't last another 5 moves from here. When g4, which is bad, rook g1, which is bad, and it's already gone.
Already here, you have to start very seriously baiting. Like 92 is not a fun move; it loses a piece immediately. But knight h1, knight b3, you resign because you get mated with knight d4, knight c2 against anything.
My guess is from somewhere away he thought knight b3 will be met by rook b1. Like that's the only way I can explain it. He thought he can still play rook b1, but then he realized knight d4 is just straight up mate because you can't stop knight c2 and you lose. And yeah, basically from a very safe equal position to resigns in four moves flat. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have one last glance at the games that are still going. Jules Mussar against Boronik. Draw. Durabaili against Korobov.
Probably draw, less of an obvious draw than the previous position, but probably draw. Yeah, white is a bit too active to worry too much. Sumet's already resigned in that rook ending that I tried pretending is close. It's not even remotely close. This one is, I briefly checked what the engine was saying in this position. There's some intricacies because the h-pawn probably does cost you the bishop, but you can get to spots where you get at least pretty close to trading d4 for e6. You have to be a little bit more artful. Like this probably is just straight up lost, but you can pause some more questions, and eventually you get the positions where like you take with the king on c4, you take on h2, force black somehow to recapture with the knight, and you go rook h6, and you try to push d5 and trade d4e. I think the engine solves it and wins, but I also think in technical terms it might be a bit tricky. We'll see. It remains a very well played game by the Turkish player. Morley clearly struggling here ever since he played rook e1 on move 6 and got hit with g5.
Right. Yespenko is pawn up if I'm counting correctly. So some work done.
Yeah, he
Might
could
not
have.
even be that easy.
Yeah, he could have been. I think he could have won that cleaner, but yeah, long term, I think it's difficult to defend. We don't really know how it ends. Gwaine won. I saw on your screen there. So finally, did we? Yeah, we did convince Gwaine, and I use we in the widest possible sense here, to play some kind of a normal opening, and he won very confidently once this decision was taken.
So you're taking credit?
Oh yeah, I take a lot of credit for being. I was there in the room when his roommate suggested to him that he should be playing normal openings. So of course, my influence is unquestionable there. This we think is maybe the game in which Theodorian judge is white against Jordan van Forest. I asked for confirmation, hasn't gotten any. We still don't know for sure. This is actually an improvement for black, I think.
Yeah, well, some stability. No, Computersus has lost, but I could see Jordan making stuff happen from here if this is indeed Jordan's game.
Yeah. It feels like you might be at some point dropping the pawn on h5, but you go knight d7, knight c5, you put a knight on d3. If things go well for you, you start attacking that pawn on b2. I think it was more lost earlier, even though the engine obviously still hates it for black with a vengeance.
Yep. All right, tomorrow we have possibly the pairing Yu Yang-yi versus Alexeyenko on the top board. Yu Yang-yi, the highest rated player of the tournament. Hans Niemann is also very much still in contention. Should be fun. Let's hope Kirill gets to make some more moves tomorrow.
Yep.
We'll be back with all the action, same time, same place.
Only 2 rounds left, so yeah, all the excitement is ahead of us. Tune in tomorrow.
It's the first edition of our chess festival here in Formentera. We host the chess festival in Sitges. I think it's a special place because it's a unique location. We have very nice views, we have very nice beaches.
My experience here has been extremely nice. It's a perfect location to play chess. We are in a fantastic hotel here in the beautiful island of Formentera, which is paradise. And you can see even the beach from your balcony in your room. Tournament combines chess and holidays, and there are a lot of parallel activities. You can play ping pong tournament, you can play volleyball tournament.
For instance, we have seminars from different grandmasters and
chess master classes or chess conferences, and we also have a couple of blitz tournaments. Related to Spanish cultures. Our goal is always to have people have fun and have a chess holiday.
Yeah, this tournament is basically for everyone. You can be a professional chess player who just is very much focused at chess part, and the conditions are good enough to do that too.
I expect to play some decent chess at least, and yesterday I lost against Gustafsson, super grandmaster from India. But besides chess, I expect to have a lot of great moments and memories with my friends here in this beautiful island.
We have visited the island, which is exclusive place, and I've heard a lot of stars are coming here to visit this island, and you can only reach by the boat to there. So we went there with other grandmasters. We played chess games there. It was quite an experience to play chess at the lovely island. For me, it's very important to have a good time, because when I have a good time, then my chess also goes nicely, and this tournament is also proof of that, and I hope I will today, because so far I've got some points, and also I enjoyed other activities here too.
So it's the perfect place to play chess.
Welcome everybody.
My name is Jan Nepomniachtchi, former world chess champion.
Are starting a new course here for Chessable.
A very special Chessable course.
Master your chess with Judith Bolgar.
You know what? I learned a lot.
Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses. Time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the end game with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Christoph Sulecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at Chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.